historical
precedent
like
for the NFL and parity.
No.
It has nothing to do with that. And the difficulties in these one-game sample sizes of going and winning at minimum 3 games in the playoffs against, playoff teams. And trying to do that 3 consecutive years with injuries and everything else that happens, and the turnover in the roster and the salary cap and drafting and quarterbacks, etc. But sort of the same thing. I agree. They are due. The NFL's due. And no time like the present. I mean, this is a totally unbiased opinion.
Oh, very unbiased. Yeah.
But I'm going to say, if there was a team to three-peat, I think it probably should be the Chiefs. Just completely.
They deserve it.
No dog in the fight whatsoever. Like, if you look at, historically, the way that we would view some teams, not the Cowboys of the 90s or the Steelers or the 49ers or the Patriots or anything. I mean, those are nice little, dynasty runs. But, this team, something about, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, like those 3 guys, it just feels right if they were the ones to three-peat. Again, no bias. Just a completely objective view in what I feel like would probably be a widely held majority opinion.
It's not even like you're wearing their shirt or anything like that.
No, this is about Magic Kingdom. This is a Disney shirt.
I thought so.
The Kingdom. Magic Kingdom. Although I did wear this when we went to Disney last year, and I'm walking around and I'm like, damn, nobody knows it's a Chiefs shirt.
Wow, when did Disney get a nice stadium? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, looks like
the castle.
GEHA at Magic Kingdom. GEHA roller coaster at Magic Kingdom is phenomenal. It's so good. It's the new one. You might think about Avatar, the Guardians of the Galaxy, things like that. No, it's the GEHA roller coaster, the new one. It's pretty awesome. It's taken the place of Rock and Roller Coaster. People don't know that yet, but it's going to. But no, I'm walking around with this shirt. I'm like, yeah, Chiefs just won the Super Bowl again. Damn it. Nobody knows what this is. They just think I might as well be walking around with Mickey Mouse on my shirt. They think it's the same.
Your head.
Or the mouse ears on my head,
You're a Disney adult, Jason.
When in Rome.
Your kids weren't even there. It was just you.
It was just me. I just went there
Weird.
by myself, yes. When in Rome. Well, you're drunk and this isn't Rome. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Josh Kaiser, we'll talk with him coming up at noon, One Royal Way podcast. And we'll talk probably some Royals with him. We may talk about the completely objective view about three-peating. If a Major League Baseball team were to three-peat again, would he want it to be the Royals?
Unbiased, of course.
Completely objective, unbiased view. No dog in the fight. Just simply conversation. That's all. Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock, and we will update our Royals ZOUs. We'll give the current standings through roughly a third of the season that the Major League Baseball has played. So we will see where the teams, where the individuals, where we are in our ZOUs of our over-unders for the Royals. Let me just say it's as close as we've seen through like a third of any season.
Well,
how
close? I mean,
I'm not going to tell you till 1 o'clock.
If it wasn't close at all, then that doesn't tell us much.
Yeah, it's very close. It's very close. It's as close as I can remember, is all I'm going to say.
You have a bad memory, Jason.
No, I have a pretty good memory.
Okay.
Pretty good memory. Yeah, I think so. Sterling, what's your name again?
This is the Bill Walton thing, isn't it?
Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson is his name. Memory, steel trap up there. And Dylan Marshall is back there running the show. Sterling Mahomes is hanging out with us. And I'm James Anderson with you.
That is correct.
Thank you. All right. Very good. Very good.
Sanderson. It's actually Sanderson.
It is not anymore. We head up until 2 o'clock. All right. 913-912-4810. Let's talk about some of the things that we saw last night. We can talk about the 3 games in a row that the Royals have dropped, how they've dropped them, etc. Cole Reagans and giving up just the 2 runs, 2 earned runs. I know Major League Baseball is going to call that 3 earned runs, but that is as be it. We talk about being objective and no dog in the fight. That is as home scorekeeping as home official scorekeeping is going to get. If that thing was at Kauffman, that is an error. If that thing is at 29 other stadiums, that is an error. But there with the home scorekeeper, that's a double because the only person it helps is the batter. The only person it helps. hurts Cole Reagans. I guess it helps Garrett Hampson that he doesn't get an error, but I don't think Garrett Hampson's trying to win a Gold Glove this year, okay? And two plays in left field would say he might be using a Gold Glove out there. So maybe use one that's made of leather, not of gold, although it might be fool's gold at times. I don't know. But that's an error as far as errors go. That's an easy error. I'm going to give him 2 earned runs, 3 runs overall for Cole Reagans. And so they've lost a couple of games in which the winning run ended up scoring based off a dropped fly ball in left field. It was also a dropped fly ball in short right with Bobby Witt out there in the same inning that MJ Melendez ended up dropping what would have been the third out. Yeah. Garrett Hampson dropping what would have been the third out. And then you have Margot that comes through with a single. And, of course, good teams make other teams pay for their errors. We saw the Royals do it this year. It was to the Blue Jays when Vlad Jr. just dropped the ball over at first base. Just went right through his glove almost. And the Royals took advantage of that and scored some runs. They won the game. So they did that. Royals have made some errors. They have not been playing. The boys have not been playing some ball.
No.
The boys have been playing with their food.
They've
the
been
last
playing
3
like
games.
Last year is what it looks like.
Yeah, they especially defensively and offensively as well for the most part. But I want to start off with this. So one thing that we have talked about is with this Royals team is, depth of the starting staff, depth of the bullpen, guys that can step up from the minor leagues, but also depth of the lineup and the defense. How far can you go down into AAA to grab players and bring them up if you are trying to win a division? They've already lost Michael Massey on the IL. The second time Massey is on the IL this year. Started on the IL. Seems like he played 5 minutes and now has the back injury, is back on the IL. We had Kyle Isbell take one to the face, but he's back playing.
Dude, that was brutal, by the way.
Yeah.
His eye
black
looked,
eyes.
Yeah, right.
Incredible.
Looks like, you know what?
Batman.
You know what? You think his face looks bad? You should see the other guy's knuckles. They are really swollen, and even it might even be broken. He had to go to the hospital with his fist. He might have broken a knuckle.
You should see the baseball. If you think he looks bad, look at the baseball.
The baseball's got blood all over it. Yeah. It's weird. It's wearing some of the skin from Kyle Isbell on that leather. But Vinny Pasquantino, we don't know how long he's going to be out. It is a contusion on a nerve. So when the nerve starts feeling better, then Vinny could play. Maybe that's today. Maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it doesn't respond for a few days, and the Royals aren't going to place him on the IL, but they're moving forward with one less player because Vinny, if he's not going to, play and start, if there's an issue with his left knee, he's probably not going to be able to pinch hit. Probably not going to be able to go and do something like that. So the concern has been there about the depth of this team and needing to remain healthy throughout the year. We talked about concern level for Vinny Pasquantino yesterday at the plate. And I said it was a 3 because...
That was the fact.
Yeah, that's right. I said it was a 3. Dylan said it was a 3. Todd said it was a 5. Oddly enough, David Lesky yesterday said a 5 in concern level.
He knows more than me.
Yeah, much more. He said it was about a 5. But to your point, the underlying metrics were there. His concern was that he's striking out a little bit more as of late than what we typically see from Vinny Pasquantino. The concern level of depth with this team now, with Michael Massey going down and Vinny Pasquantino, we saw what happened last year when he missed. I don't think it was a dirty play. I think it was incredibly irresponsible. And if the ball had been thrown from the catcher, that's runner interference. But it's not runner interference if he's running down to first and the ball is thrown from shortstop or second or third base or wherever. But they widen the bases. I mean, do they have to give him a safety base? Like in Little League? An orange base next to it that's where they step on to protect the first baseman? Like, do they have to do that? You wouldn't think so. They widen the bases, and he's got that entire area to run through. Instead, he steps on the inside, in fair territory, the inside part of the bag, which you're going to collide with a player, a first baseman, when you do that, especially when your running lane is to the outside. I don't think it was dirty. I don't think he did it on purpose because Byron Buxton would be dumb to try to collide with somebody because his fragile bones would break.
Correct.
I'm surprised that Vinny was the one that got injured and not Byron Buxton, but it was irresponsible in running in that particular way. Regardless, it's now Vinny Pasquantino, maybe missing some time. So they've lost 3 in a row. No Massey, no Vinny. Where's the concern level of how this team is playing right now if you lose a couple of guys that were swinging the bat well enough in the lineup 1 through 5 when they haven't been able to rely on 6 through 9 as it is?
It's the worst time to lose those players because this is arguably your toughest stretch right now of the season. I mean, you're going to have Cleveland coming up next week. You're going to have the Yankees and Dodgers back-to-back. You get the AL West first-place team and the Mariners coming to Kansas City. So you don't want to go into those series limping, and you still have 2 more in Minnesota right now. But this is also, I believe, a good test for this club. I think the one area they absolutely cannot afford to get banged up at is the starting rotation. Daniel Lynch was great in his spot start. He's still not any of those 5 guys. If you lose Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha for an extended period of time, that is when you are going to see maybe the Royals of old start to show a little bit. And then, God forbid, 2 guys go down. Then who are you turning to? Jonathan Bowen, Anthony Veneziano? Are you going to make a move at that point? I feel like you'd be forced at that point to make a move, but it is concerning. I think the good thing is with Vinny, and again, I don't think it was a dirty play. I think Ryan Lefevre said it perfectly, and I think you said it the exact same way. Not intentional, but careless.
Yeah,
it's kind of like with a young arm coming into a game when he throws up by the head and then does it again, and it's not intentional, but it's going to piss off the hitter. It's going to piss off the bench. We saw that in the Anaheim series with Matt Sauer, or Ron Washington and the entire Angels dugout getting pissed at Sauer throwing up and in twice. He wasn't trying to. It was just careless. You got to be able to get in the zone. And I think with Buxton, he wasn't trying to bowl over a 6'3", 240-pound first baseman, but I think he was looking down or not looking where the lane was.
He was looking at the ball when he started running, and then at that point when he looked back, he was already so far inside the lane as he even tried to weave back. But if he tries to weave back, you lose a step.
Exactly.
So I'm just going to go straight here because if I lose a step, I might be out.
And you saw the way the Royals reacted after that. He came up as apologetic. Vinny Pasquantino gave him a pat on the back. Hey, it happens. And then he got to second base. Lofton did the same thing. So I don't believe they thought it was intentional. But at least with Vinny, it's a really bad bruise right now. You hope you can get him off his feet a couple of days, get him back for the Padres series. I'm not rushing him back. I'm just going to play Salvi at first. Put Freddie Fermin, who's been great, behind the plate, and then you just DH Nelson Velasquez until Vinny's ready to go. But, with Massey, that does concern me because it's the second time and it's a back injury. That can flare up at any point in time. We thought it was ironed out. It was fine. He comes back, and then it was the which series was that? Was that Detroit or something? I'm trying to remember which series it flared back up. It was Tampa, I think it was. Yeah, it was the Tampa series. Flares back up on him. He could sit out, go on a rehab assignment. He could be gone for 2 weeks, but there's still in the back of your mind, it could happen again. That's problematic for the second base position right now because Massey was starting to become one of the better hitters in the lineup, and now you got to turn back to Adam Frazier for an extended period.
Or Nick Lofton, who's been fine. Nick Lofton's been fine. Garrett Hampson might start getting more work, and hopefully not in the outfield.
Not in the outfield.
Can we put him at second base then, with his original position? Dude's still batting .313.
Yeah, he's getting on base at like 360, 370, something like that. His limited time,
I don't know what to do, though, with this bottom lineup because you have all these guys and not any corner outfielders with any pop. Nick Lofton, as solid as he's been, again, small sample size, batting .267, he's slugging .265, he's slugging .265. They're all singles.
Yeah.
I get why they're trying to keep either Nelson Velasquez or MJ Melendez in the lineup because they're like, or even Renfroe. Well, they at least have some power potential, but it hasn't been there. I don't know where they go, especially when you lose Massey, who was at least getting some extra base hits. I mean, he had a couple of big home runs. You lose Vinny, who, again, he is the power potential. He's not really been doing much this year as far as extra base hits, but still a few doubles here and there. This is a lineup devoid of power with those guys being out.
Let's hear from Matt Quatraro from last night. This is let's play clip number 2. Matt Quatraro, this is a post-game conversation in the clubhouse after the game, talking about Cole Reagans, what he saw from Vinny Pasquantino, and how to move on from now 3 in a row.
He just has a contusion to the nerve on the side of his leg. He's going to be fine day to day, but just have to wait for it to feel a little bit better.
Where exactly did he come up with the injury from your vantage point? Like on his leg, like where is that?
Yeah, on the side of his leg. Yeah, on the side of his shin or side of his calf.
Well, it seems like a lot of little things just didn't quite break the right way tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
defense. Let's start with defense.
I mean, we made some nice defensive plays. We, gave up a run on a misplayed ball, but I mean, I don't think we weren't kicking the ball all over the place, but in a close game, that's what happens.
How would you categorize Cole Reagan's start tonight?
Yeah, he threw the ball well. I mean, they got to him early. He got in some bad counts. The 3-0 count to Correa kind of set up the whole inning. But threw the ball really well, managed it after that. It's 30 pitches in the first and was able to get through 5 with 3 runs on the board. So wasn't bad. Wasn't his best outing of the year for sure, but he worked really hard to keep us in the game.
And offensively, what kind of challenge did Wade Richardson present to you guys?
Yeah, he threw a lot of sliders, and it didn't seem like we were picking it up. It's a high release. It's unique, pitch perspective for the slider, and we didn't do much with it.
You've had 2 other, I think, 3-game losing streaks this year, just little blips. Turned them around immediately, like 1 3 straight after one and 1 4 straight after the other. What's the key to making sure a hiccup doesn't turn into something bigger?
Yeah, making each day its own day. I mean, these guys don't care about whether we lost 2 or 3. They're going to come back ready to play tomorrow.
Helps to have a guy like Seth Lugo on the mound.
Sure. Pitching's the name of the game, man. Pitching's the name of the game. So if we get a good start from him, then we'll be ready to go.
Did you send Blanco in the 9th inning there, or that was still his own volition?
I mean, he has a green light. He knows, he was doing a good job of not going on the slide steps and then and trying to go on the ones when he was a little bit slower.
I think it was Rex Hudler that said that in the game it just felt like they were trying to force it, like trying to force something instead of letting it come natural. And Blanco's been awesome stealing bases, so this isn't a Blanco needs to stop running, but it certainly felt like he wasn't getting a good read. He leaned one way and almost got picked off.
Yes.
Then he had the start-stop, on the stolen base. You got a guy that's throwing 101 up there, so it's getting to Verdugo pretty quick.
Stepping. It's not like he's this long leg kick. It's not Kenley Jansen out there.
Yeah, it just felt like it was trying to force it, like I have to get into scoring position. Like I'm Dave Roberts in the Red Sox, and I'm stealing second, and everybody knows I'm stealing second, but I still have to find a way to steal second to get into scoring position. Like he didn't have to get into scoring position because you didn't have anybody out. And, a ground ball to the right side with his speed could have got him into scoring position, or a fly ball deep enough in certain spots. I mean, I guess probably not from, because you would throw to second and not throw to home to try to get the runner because that runner at third didn't mean anything. But, it did feel like there was some trying to force some things, especially with that. You had Frazier get the hit. You got Salvi, those guys get on, and all of a sudden, you're like, all right, first and third against, Duran. And he has had his struggles against the Royals. Hasn't had
3 of the last 4 nights.
Right. I mean, he probably is not going to be available tonight. Hopefully it doesn't matter if he's available tonight or not for the Twins, and the Royals are, going to their bullpen late in the game to close out the game. But it did feel like there was a lot of forcing it of trying to, and that particular one. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with, it's kind of like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. You take Nelson Velasquez out for MJ Melendez. It's like, no, why don't you keep Velasquez in there to bat 190? Why would you go to MJ Melendez, who's batting 170? Damn it. Move that deck chair over there? This place is sinking. Come on. So to me, that was sort of 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. But I'm typically not going to go to MJ Melendez off the bench the way he's swinging the bat right now. If he hadn't swung a bat all game, and then you face Duran there in the ninth, that's probably not a spot I want to put MJ Melendez in.
Well, we've seen Q this year. I mean, just go with the righty-lefty matchups all the time. And I did see one. It might have been from Josh Kaiser, actually, who we're going to have on. He said maybe that was a chance to go, this could be your spark. Man, you come up against one of the best closers in the game, and you just drive in a run. That's a huge confidence boost, and I don't really know if it's a confidence issue right now for MJ. I mean, he worked the count a little bit, and then he just whiffed on 101. A lot of guys are going to do that, but MJ maybe more than the rest. So I don't know if I'm super upset about the move to pinch hit for Nelson Velasquez, 'cause I don't think Nelson Velasquez would have gotten a hit either. With Blanco, I think Rex Hudler said it good too. Trying to press, we saw 3 different times in that at bat him not get a good read on Duran, but in his mind he's going, I got to get to second. And even though Blanco's done well stealing bases this year, I think you can, see this difference between the great Royals-based stealers of past. Gerard Dyson was incredibly quick, but he also was incredibly intelligent when stealing bases. Blanco, I think, is just incredibly fast, and it's sometimes that base running IQ of, if I'm not getting a good read on the guy, maybe I wait. I need to time him down a little bit more, where he was going, then not going. He's almost picked off. And then Duran's kind of in his head of, I don't really have him timed up, but I got to go. And he was out by a mile.
It wasn't even close.
It was a horrible throw when he was out by that much. It was insane.
And I would have waited. Again, he's got the green light. I think we're so used to like Little League where the coach is going to give him. No, if you're fast, go when you feel like you have the good jump. And I would have personally waited till 1 out, just because Duran was pressing a little bit. Salvi had a double that was a ball 100 up, like 2 feet above the zone, somehow almost hit it out. And then Frazier singles. I'm like, let him work a little bit more. Don't give him a free out right now. And I guess Blanco just made the wrong decision in that point in time. But yeah, pressing, I think, is a good example. Not so much recently. I mean, it's a 3-game losing streak. It's more so pressing against the Twins. We saw it in the opening series of the year when they couldn't score. Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan, they were pressing. Every at-bat was pressing. Every time they got somebody on base, there was pressing. Just bad baseball overall. And then in the field, I mean, it was just sloppy beyond sloppy. I've seen better fielding in left field in my beer league softball team than what I saw with Garrett
And
Hampson
you guys
last.
And
And we struggle a lot. There's guys that are holding beers out there and still
literally beer league.
They have a beer in one hand, in the throwing hand they have a heater in their mouth, because you gotta keep a Zen and a heater, and it's the combo. It's the real.
That's right. What's the point of playing if you're not rocking a
Not
lung dart
loaded
and a beer in one hand? Come on, man. If you're not getting the sauce and the dart at the same time, what's the point? All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk about the Royals offense and what we've seen 1 through 5 and then 6 through 9. The 8-game winning streak and the 3-game losing streak. Smaller sample size with the 3-game losing streak than the scoring 60 runs over 8 games, as opposed to the 8 runs they've scored over 3 games. And, Jack mentioned it, that Monday was the start of a really important stretch for this Royals team. And they've started out 0-2. And they're 1-4 against the Twins. They haven't played the Guardians yet. We'll talk about some of those things as well. We'll talk some Chiefs football. Josh Kaiser comes up at noon. Mick Schaefer, 1 o'clock. More Zone right after this. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson. So here's the question I would have. Is it better to have 1 through 9 playing well, swinging a hot bat at the same time, but then you also get the flip side of they're all struggling at the same time? Or would you rather have like one side or the other that's playing really well that maybe can carry you to
care less about the team struggling.
carrying you to like a 4-3 win, or maybe even a 3-2 loss, but 8 in a row where you've scored 60 runs, where 1 through 9 is just performing really, really well. And these last 3 games, 1 through 9, not much, not really doing anything at all because they've scored 8 runs, and 4 of those came in 1 inning. In the 9th inning when they were down 5 runs in the 9th. So they haven't been consistently putting runs on the board and giving themselves rally opportunities outside of the 1 inning that they had when they scored 4 runs.
I told you at the very beginning of the year, this is going to be a streaky offense.
But I'm asking you which one.
I want the
You want it split like 5?
Split. I want it
6,
split.
6 through 9 playing really well, and
Like
1 through 5 sort of struggling. 1 through 5 carrying the team, but 6 through 9 not doing enough. Or the 8-game stretch to where everybody 1 through 5 and 6 through 9 were pulling more than their weight.
Call me M. Night Shyamalan because I want it split, because you can win games 4-3. You can win games 5-4. Who cares if they're all going well at the same time? You win 10-2.
Which is what they were doing. They were winning 8-3.
Who
They
cares?
were winning.
It's fun. It's exciting, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter whether you win by 1 or win by 5. A win is a win. I'd much rather have it split because then again, as we're seeing, they're all scuffling at the same time.
Yeah.
You ain't going to win scoring 2 runs. It's not going to happen.
Well, 1 through 5 through the 8-game winning streak was playing amazing baseball, and Bobby Witt's the American League Player of the Week for a reason, because of how well he was playing, and Michael Garcia swinging a hot bat, Salvi doing Salvi things, Velasquez hitting extra base hits, etc. But in that 8-game winning streak, 6 through 9, this is their slash line, 6 through 9 and 116 at bats. So it's not like this is like 20 at bats, 116 at bats in the 8 games with 4 guys in your lineup. They were batting .260. They got on base at .326. They slugged .440 for a 766 OPS for the bottom 4 guys in your lineup through the 8-game winning streak. 19 RBIs in 8 games, 20 runs scored in 8 games, 13 extra base hits in 8 games, 14 walks in 8 games, and 23 strikeouts in the 8 games. Those are going to happen, certainly in today's game
That's
as
awesome.
well. 1 through 5 was doing their usual thing. The last 3 games, they are batting .256, 259, 256, not too bad. They're getting on base at .266, slugging .333, so OPSing at .599.
A lot of singles.
A lot of singles.
I should say, sorry, almost only
Yes.
singles.
Right. They have 3 doubles in the 40 at-bats that they have in the 45 plate appearances that they've had. 3 doubles, so 3 extra base hits, that's it. But here's the issue with that is, okay, they got 4 RBIs, they've scored 5 runs. Of the 8 runs that are scored, 5 of them have come from the bottom of the lineup.
Yeah.
So now, flipping over the lineup, well, then maybe the top of the lineup scoring some of those guys, but you've also got 4 RBIs of the 8 coming from 6, 7, 8, 9. 1 through 5 in these last 3 games, which is 62 at-bats, not bad, 194, getting on base at 203.
Yikes.
Slugging .258. So they have a .461 OPS. Like, I started looking at this because I'm like, okay, is this offense going by the way of the bottom part of the lineup? Like the bottom part, were they amazing through the 8 games and they have just been trash through these, last, 3 games? But, yeah, they were amazing in the 8 games, and they've been sort of what they have been the whole year these last 3. It's just the top part of the lineup, 1 through 5, is OPSing .461, and the real issue that comes in is that in those 62 at-bats, they have no walks and 17 strikeouts, 1 through 5.
That's horrendous.
No walks and 17 Ks for your top 5 hitters in the last 3 games. Yeah, there have been some pretty good pitchers they've gone up against, but they haven't faced off against, Corbin Burns and Zach Gallen and Spencer Strider, even though he's injured, 3 games in a row. Like, it hasn't been like, oh my God, those guys don't walk anybody and they strike out everybody.
Simeon Woods Richardson, I don't think is in the top
Yes.
of those the name list.
Right.
There.
He sounds like a football player. Like, that's a safety in the NFL, or a defensive end. Like, who's leading the Panthers in sacks this year? Simeon Woods Richardson, really good player out of Florida State.
He lays the wood.
Absolutely, he's really good. SWR, that's what they call him. Simeon Woods Richardson. It's really, really good. I found out who Simeon Woods Richardson was last night or yesterday when I was putting the show sheet together that he was pitching. So, like, and that's where, like, I'm in agreement of I'd rather it be split rather than all or nothing, because then you're losing 3-2, you're losing 4-1, and then you're winning 8-3. The constant is the fact that the other team is scoring 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah.
The variable is that you are scoring a lot or not scoring enough. And overall, in the course of the season, they're still 12 games over 500, but they're 12 games over 500 with this topsy-turvy sort of offense that we've seen, especially over these last 11 games.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at this pitching staff being able to almost mask the lower half struggles for so long. I mean, you are 11 games over 500, and through this first 56-game sample size, very few times have these starters just taken them out of the game in the second or third inning. I mean, last night, honestly, that one-run deficit felt a little bit insurmountable against Minnesota's bullpen, but it was still a one-run game. And in the ninth, they put the go-ahead run, just in the same way they did the other day, at the plate with the game on the line. They didn't get it done, but honestly, I mean, look at where this team is at in their record. I mean, they're 11 games over 500.
12.
12 games. Yeah, 12 games.
22, yeah.
12 games over with some guys they counted on not just underperforming, severely underperforming what they had set. Hunter Renfroe, they wouldn't have signed Hunter Renfroe if he was going to hit 160.
Nobody would have signed.
Nobody would have signed him. MJ Melendez hitting the way that he is. Right, he's not even an everyday player anymore. They're pinch hitting Garrett Hampson for him against a lefty late in games right now. They expected MJ Melendez to be their number 5 hitter or their number 6 hitter in this lineup. And what I'm going to be very curious about into this stretch they have right now, when that first move will be made. I am under the assumption right now that the Royals are actively looking to guys out there that can bolster not the entire lineup, just the outfield. Now, we talked about this before. I don't believe you can find 3 different outfielders, put them in the lineup, and then all of a sudden you're going to be prospering at the bottom of the lineup. But I do think they are going to have a cutthroat mentality of, we're not going to sit around in mid-June or early July with somebody hitting 150. You just can't. You can't keep saying, well, this is the hit that's going to get him going. Well, no, we would have seen it at this point. I believe when you're 55, 56 games in, this is who they are. They could have a hot stretch or two, but this is probably who this guy is going to be. Hunter Renfroe is not going to go from 160 to 240. It would take an absurd stretch. MJ Melendez, as much as I put into this season for him, he's not going to go from 170 to 260. You kind of cross your fingers and hope for a second half that he had last year. But that was also a year you were 50 games under 500. You don't have the luxury of just saying, well, he's struggling, but put him out there again. There's a reason he's not playing every single day, because the Royals are trying to mix and match the best lineup for that game, because now these games are vitally important, not just, well, you played well. I mean, yesterday, the day before that would have been a ribbon for the Royals last year of, wow, you were down and out the entire game, and you fought back, but you lost against a really good closer. I'm pissed off they lost the last 2 games. That's a team they need to be able to beat if they are serious. And tonight, they're going to get another opportunity. And I'm curious what lineup they throw out, because they're not just giving guys the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Well, it's a third of the way through the season. Like, at some point, it's, as you said, you are who you are. And Renfroe's not going to end up batting 240 this year. The question is, can he bat 240 the rest of the way? Can MJ Melendez bat 240, 250 the rest of the way? Whatever he's done so far this year, the numbers are never going to balance out.
It's a sunk cost at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. But can he do it the rest of the way? Well, you've seen it a third through the way through the season. So if the Royals are asking themselves that question of going, well, okay, so this first third of the season, we have not played in the outfield the way that we were hoping to play. Weighted runs created, we're 30th in Major League Baseball in the outfield. OPS, we're 29th in OPS in the outfield overall.
Garrett Hampson just carrying them right now.
So if you're looking from the Royals' perspective, it's like, hey, what are we going to do at the trade deadline if we need to figure out some of these, positions in the outfield? And I think they, a third of the way through the season, know who they have. They've seen enough of MJ Melendez. Hunter Renfroe has had this trend going in the wrong direction for his career. That do you sit there and go, all right, so starting now, are you gonna look at it and go, well, let's see what they do starting, because the first third has already happened, but can they bat 250 the rest of the way? Can this guy bat 250 the rest of the way? Okay, well, now you're just simply saying you're starting over, and now the next third, you look at, now you're two-thirds of the way through the season, and your outfield still is one of the worst outfields, not one of, it is the worst outfield in Major League Baseball in weighted runs created. And they have not one, but they have two holes in their lineup for left field and right field. Center field, Isbell plays really good defense, and he's your number 9 hitter. That's fine. But you can't have a left fielder and a right fielder that are as terrible as these guys have been. For example, left field overall for the Royals, 25th in weighted runs created, 24th in OPS, 26th in ISO. Well, there are teams around the Royals that have had struggles in left field that are good teams, good offenses. Baltimore, Dodgers, Houston, Rangers.
No, Evan Carter's been brutal this year.
They've all been around the Royals in left field and how bad left field is. Difference is, in right field,
Adolis Garcia lives there.
Hunter Renfroe is 30th in weighted runs created and 30th, or the Royals' right fielders. This is overall right fielders, not one particular player, but we get the point of who's manned that spot. 30th weighted runs created, 30th OPS. Whereas those other teams I just mentioned, in ISO, OPS, and weighted runs created, they are all in the top 10 in at least 2 of those categories in right field. So they do have a hole in their outfield in one of the corner spots. They don't have 2 holes in the corner spots. And at some point, you got to figure out what you want to be because, Tom Verducci wrote over the weekend at Sports Illustrated about the Royals and this crazy turnaround, and are they going to be one of the greatest turnarounds in history, or are they going to be the San Diego Padres that had an awesome start and then with Jace Tingle ended, 14-30 and missed the playoffs after they were, one of the best records in National League.
Giles, was that around that era?
No, it was like 2 years ago.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was
wow.
2021.
Yes, 2021 was like 2 years ago when they had that crazy collapse. But even he writes when he's like, okay, is this going to be one of the greatest turnarounds? And he says, the Royals are going to add to this roster. So, a source familiar with the club's trade talks said the team is already having internal discussions about which players to acquire before the trade deadline. And we know that because they at least kicked the tires on Luis Arraez. But internal discussions about who you're going to acquire, like at what point? Are you going to wait 2 more months for the July deadline? Or are you looking to acquire now because 2 extra months of somebody playing in this lineup can get you a couple of wins along the way? And now you're 1 game behind the Guardians instead of 3.5, et cetera, even though they're still 5.5 games up in the wild card.
You look at how you're supposed to make moves, and this goes not only with trades, but I think with bringing guys up from the minor leagues, Drew Waters, Nick Prado, Nate Eaton, the way those guys have been playing. You don't bring them up to fill a hole like when you're struggling. If you've lost 7 in a row, that's not usually when you make the trade. You make it when you're playing well, and you go, this guy's going to give us that extra push. We saw in 2017, the Royals were thriving for the first time, kind of in that wild card spot, and they acquired Melky Cabrera. They didn't acquire him when they were struggling. It was, okay, these guys are thriving now. Now you make the push. And that's what I'm looking for probably after this 6-series stretch, wherever they're at. If they catch fire and they maybe take 2 or 3 from the Padres, they take 2 or 3 from Cleveland, at that point, I could see them going, all right, you have the Yankees and Dodgers coming up. You don't want to just lay down and go, okay, that's a 7-game losing streak. You're just going to get your butt kicked. I wouldn't be shocked if they said, where are those guys at now, and can we add to this lineup? Because this could be that defining stretch for this ball club. It really could. Cleveland's playing nobody right now. They just get the Angels and the Rockies and the White Sox. They did lose to the Rockies in Game 1 of that series, but now Minnesota's catching some fire. And it's not just those 2 teams you need to watch out for. Boston now, the Rays, because there's 3 wild card teams. The Central could send 3 of them. They could send the Guardians, Twins, and Royals.
Because right now the Royals and Twins are the 2 and 3 wild card spots.
Yeah.
and 2.5 games clear of Boston. The Royals are 3 games clear of Minnesota, which is why they're 5.5 games up in the wild card. They've got a 5.5 game gap of missing the playoffs or just having one of those wild card spots. They're a game and a half behind Baltimore, in which you wouldn't have to worry about playing the third best division team in that wild card spot.
I have an idea of how to fix the outfield. You got to get an angel in the outfield. And you think I'm being facetious.
One
no.
just retired.
It's
Taylor Ward.
Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward. I've been on this for about a month now, and when the Royals were doing well and the outfield struggles were continuing, we actually did the same thing, Jack. You bring in when you guys are doing well, that's when it's time to add, because you can see the holes. Don't let the holes become the thing that brings the entire ship down. Fix the hole now while you're still afloat. Taylor Ward. Now, would the Angels trade Taylor Ward, a guy who still has 2 years left of arbitration? He's 30 years old. He's going to be 32. He's 33 by the time he becomes a UFA, right? They would.
I don't know why they wouldn't.
You know why? Their entire lineup outside of him and Mike Trout, when the guy's actually playing, is like 23-year-olds who are former top prospects. Taylor Ward does not fit into their equation. So if they like former top prospects, right, would they be able to trade a Drew Waters and a Prado for a Taylor Ward? Would the Royals do something like that? The Angels right now are doing nothing. Taylor Ward is toiling away on a really bad team. Taylor Ward plays left field, could play some right field, occasionally plays some third. You don't need him to there. Taylor Ward makes so much sense in a guy who's not just been a flash in the pan, who had that great start when he came up in 2022, when he became a full-time starter. 2022 OPS 833. Last year OPS 756. This year OPS 812. Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd love to have him. It's just a matter of cost acquisition, what's it gonna take. And if you're talking about a couple of guys that are that seem like 4A players, then yeah, I would absolutely make that deal. Would the Angels make the deal, or would they want something more in return if they say, well, we got 2 more years of control over Taylor Ward, we got these young guys coming up,
sure,
we feel like we're gonna get this thing rolling, and this guy's gonna be in our outfield for a long time, and we want something of more substance. And at that point, I'm like, okay. I mean, if you've got him for 2 years. I mean, it's not like this is a rent-a-player, and this is the type of player. I mean, Hunter Renfroe was playing in that outfield with Taylor Ward before they traded him last year.
So it would be Angels plural in the outfield.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think what might be a more likely trade option because of age and also the contract they have. I mean, Kevin Pillar, what he's doing right now he's got a 1.6 WAR. You combine all 3 outfielders. I think Kevin Pillar in 34 games has more than the 3 Royals outfielders. Also, maybe Tommy Pham, what he's doing for Chicago. We would never think they'd trade in division. But it's also, the Royals connections they have down there. And those could be cheap guys because of their age and also 1-year deals.
We were talking about it, and I think Dylan brought up the point that I'm like, okay, Tommy Pham waited to sign with the team, and he signs with the White Sox. Like, what the hell is that all about? And Dylan brought up the point and said, well, you sign with a bad team, perform, and then you get traded to a contender. So know.
Not checkers.
Yeah, exactly. So if I choose a team now, then that team has to be a contender the rest of the way. If I choose the White Sox in July, I get traded to a contender, and now I'm more than likely going to make the postseason. It's a great point by
and you
by
stick
Dylan.
out on the team of bad players as well.
Right, absolutely, and that's what he's doing as the leadoff hitter for the White Sox right now.
And that's like the difference. Sorry, that's like the difference between what I was saying is why this team's so fun is that it's not a bunch of vets that are signing with the Royals because I can play good. And then maybe get traded, and that's why they're playing good. They're playing good because these are young kids that we've grown and we've built.
It was the tweet
brought up.
Yeah, the tweet that came out over the weekend that said the Dodgers will spend $1 billion.
Chandler, great.
That's right. The Dodgers will spend $1 billion, and the Royals are winning off the power of friendship.
Yep. Get him some Zens.
It's a great line. It's a great line.
My concern with guys like Kevin Pillar and Tommy Pham, and while it's fun because they're having a great start to their season, the track record of the past few seasons feels very Hunter Renfroe to me.
Pham was better last year. I mean, his track record was more ascending
last year. But 2022 he was atrocious. 2021 he was okay. 2020 he was atrocious.
How old is Pham?
36.
36 is the prime of outfielders. Typically, 35, 36 is the prime of outfielders. A lot like 34 is the prime for catchers.
Kevin Pillar last year, I don't want to use that because he had 93 at bats. 2023 was the last time he had 200 at bats. He OPS 664. Those two guys, I think they're right now they're hot. But Taylor Ward, for me, if it's going to cost more to acquire them, you still make the move because you have 2 more years of control. And there's no sign of him all of a sudden falling off. He is still, I don't want to say an ascending player, but he's not plateaued
Been a
yet.
consistent player. Tommy Pham feels like this is a continuation of what he did last year with the Diamondbacks and what he's doing now with the White Sox. And he played in the World Series last year with the Diamondbacks. So he's been a part of a team that made the wild card and then made a run and found themselves in the World Series. So I certainly would be in favor of Tommy Pham. I'd be in favor of really Jack if you wanted to go out there and play outfield, give it a shot. Dylan, you want Sterling, you want to take a shot at playing corner outfield for the Royals?
I would love the opportunity to take that and cash that check.
Yeah, I think I could strike out
that.
against Duran.
Yeah,
Give me 10 games.
Okay, great. You need 10-game contract.
Team no swing.
It's an NBA two-way contract. You got 10 days to figure team no swing. That's right. Just stand up there like Henry Rowan.
Oh, I'm
Gardner.
going
I have,
up
to
like
have, I have to have a more competitive stance because if I stand there, I look like a pitcher, and they'll just say boom, boom, boom.
That's
You're
right,
out.
yeah.
I'm going up like Barry Bonds with all of the equipment on me, so I can hopefully just lean over and
No,
just
it's
get
Mo
drilled.
Vaughn. That's Mo Vaughn. That's Mo Vaughn. You wear the full on football and then hang out over the plate.
Yeah.
Frank Thomas.
Yes, just
the big
daring
elbow
him
guard.
to hit you, hanging out over the plate, and got hit. All right, on to first I go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Got some ice on it. I'll wear it. I'm on first now. All right, we got ice. We'll take a timeout. Come back. More Zone next. All right, wrapping up this hour. We'll continue talking some Royals. We'll talk some Kansas City Chiefs as well coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. There might be a break in the case, or at least the charges against Scotty Scheffler. Coming up an hour from now, the prosecuting attorney will be making a statement in court today. That'll be at noon, and then at noon 30, his Scotty Scheffler's attorney will be having a press conference at 12:30 this afternoon.
Xavier.
Throughout this entire case, the government was trying to drive right down the fairway Scotty Scheffler's chances of playing.
They wanted Scotty to hosel it. He hit a beautiful shot into about 3 feet.
He's no longer having to work out of the rough. It's clear and free, and we're putting home, baby.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, so there is an update. So the addressing of the court in Louisville will take place at noon. Steve Romines, the attorney for Scotty Scheffler, will have a press conference at 1:30. The charges against Scotty Scheffler have been dropped, will be officially dropped coming up an hour from now. The agreement is on the stipulation that neither side will pursue any legal action against the other side.
So basically, it's, hey, we'll drop it.
We'll drop the charges as long as you don't sue. and he's saying, you know what? If I agree not to sue, if you guys just simply drop the charges and I can move on, because there is audio from Scotty Scheffler in the police car of saying that the officer, he thought it was a security guard because the police officer had already told him to drive around. He said somebody in a yellow jacket. He said, I didn't know if it was a security guard or whatever. As I was driving, had reached in and hit me with a flashlight. Didn't say who they were, but just hit me. And he goes, I didn't know what it was and didn't know they were police officers, so I didn't know what was going on. So I drove. And then the police officer's like, so why does it matter if it was a security guard or a police officer? He's like, well, yeah, I get that. But, you're right. I probably should have stopped. And then Scotty Scheffler said I was a little impatient and I was trying to get to my tee time. And the officer said, right, but you know that as you drove away, he was on the car and you drug him a number of feet. And Scotty Scheffler said, yeah, I know that was bad. I should have stopped, but I didn't know what was going on and what was happening. So that was where Scotty Scheffler says the miscommunication. And while the video isn't there that shows what happened with Scotty Scheffler and the police officer,
The irreplaceable pants.
you do have Scotty Scheffler saying, yes, I'm aware that took place with this particular officer.
That's why you say nothing.
And now Scotty Scheffler is simply agreeing with the court system of
drop it all.
We're just going to move on. Miscommunication one way or another, and let's all move on and not sue one way or another.
Won't
what we talked about.
Think about the pants, though. I mean, will anyone think about the pants?
Well,
Were they Levi's or Dockers?
Well, what we talked about was the part of the video that you couldn't see anything, and what was really surprising to me, if this took place, as Scotty Scheffler's talking about, we don't have video of the officer quote being drug a number of feet. What was really surprising is that no other officers were really responding or looked like there was any sense of urgency. They were just standing there.
Just chilling.
And as Scheffler then turned the corner, that officer then ran after him.
Yeah.
And the other, people in yellow vests that are security or police, turns out police, were just standing there watching. Like you would think if you just saw your fellow officer be, this car is driving and they're being dragged by this car, you would then jump in front of the car and try to do something and react in a certain way. But that wasn't the case. And if Scotty Scheffler also was telling the truth, in which Scotty Scheffler did in that audio say, well, it felt like an overreaction because I was driving and he just immediately hit me with a flashlight. He was like, I was listening to the other police officer told me where to go. This gate was open, so I was driving, and all of a sudden I hear somebody yell stop, and I'm still driving, and then I get hit in the side by a flashlight, and I don't know what's going on, and so yes, then I drive more. So that's all part of the miscommunication. So it can still be an overreaction by the police officer if he immediately swings at Scotty Scheffler when he's telling him to stop while also swinging a flashlight into a guy whose window is down while yelling stop at the same time. And an overreaction by Scotty Scheffler for not stopping. But if you are a professional golfer and you're around a golf tournament and there are sort of, and not knowing what had happened as to why the backup was taking place, but there are also crazy people and fans like, in Happy Gilmore where, you jackass is, he might have been yelling you jackass while hitting Scotty Scheffler in the side of the head with a flashlight.
Next season on Full Swing.
That's right. So it becomes convoluted. The video isn't there. Scotty Scheffler's words agreeing with the officer that says, yes, but this is what happened. And Scotty Scheffler is like, well, yeah, that was bad. We'll try to get the audio so we can listen to it.
I would be terrified, too, if at 5 a.m. someone ran at my car who clearly was not wearing at least visible police attire and starts swinging a flashlight at my car. I probably would be a little alarmed, too.
Well, also, I think it is a little, presumptive to think that if Scotty Scheffler is driving into the golf course and a police officer says, this is the way that you go, and then somebody else yells, stop, you automatically should stop. You should stop if somebody else stop. Well, who's yelling stop?
Yeah, if I'm yelling stop to you, Jason, you're not going to stop.
Probably. Well, but Dylan typically will tell me that, and I'll ignore him. I'll just
Break.
Like, break.
No, thank you.
Hit your brakes. No, I'm not going to. I'm going
good.
to continue on the show. That's what I'm going to continue doing. But it looks like there is some sort of a conclusion to this. There is Scotty Shepler. Do we have the audio? Let's just go ahead and play the audio. Here we go.
It's 3 minutes.
Well, let's see how much of it we'll play.
My tea time. Yeah. I had to loop all the way around. That way it took me about probably a half hour. Okay. So I'm pulling in here. The police officer up there told me to come the opposite way with the traffic and then come in. And as I was pulling in, my window was down, and the officer told me to stop. And first of all, I did not know that he was a police officer. I thought he was one of the security guards that was mistaken. And as I was pulling by him, he grabbed my arm.
Stop right there. Why does it matter if he's a security guard or a police officer?
Because
if somebody's telling you to stop.
Yes, you're right. I should have stopped. I did get a little bit impatient because I'm quite late for my tea time. And as he was reaching in the car, he grabbed my shoulder and hit me. Like
trying to get you to stop, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It seemed to be a little bit over aggressive because the entrance was open.
Okay.
And I pulled a little bit because I was afraid. I thought he was going to start hitting me, and I didn't know who he was. He didn't tell me he was a police officer. All I saw was the yellow jacket. I didn't know what he was doing. I listened to another police officer.
So the thing is, he's wearing a uniform. Okay. He also is wearing the same jacket that I have on that says police.
Yes.
Okay. Also, on that, if someone's telling you to stop, no matter who it is, you don't keep going. So what happened is, you kept going and you took him with you while he's a pedestrian. Okay.
Yes.
So you took him with your car.
Yes.
And drug him. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing,
I'm
right?
very aware that was
to make it so. Listen to me. So make it even worse. When he asked you to get out of the car, you refused to get out of the car.
I still was not aware he was a police officer. I was actually looking out the window of the car to try to find a police officer. I asked.
We're all right here, and he was there.
Believe me, sir. If I knew
we're all wearing yellow vests, so you can see us.
If he knew he was a police officer, I would have been much more less afraid. But panic kind of set in. As you can see, I'm still shaking because I was afraid. I didn't know who he was. He didn't say, police, get out of the car. He just hit me with his flashlight and yelled, get out of the car.
We're wearing a lot of police gear. That surely signifies that we're the police.
Believe me, if I knew he was a police officer, I would have gotten out of the car. I don't know what to tell you other than I was a little bit panicked trying to get into the golf course, and now I don't know what to do.
Let's go back to the first point, okay? No matter if you thought it was a police officer or not, why are we wearing yellow vests? Why do you think we're wearing yellow vests? So you can see us, right?
Yes.
So you can see us, and if somebody tells you to stop, if it's a traffic guard, security guard, anybody, that means you stop at that time and you don't keep going.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so stuff like this doesn't happen.
Yes.
Because you actually hurt him, and he's a police officer.
Yes.
He's got a huge scrape on his knee. He's getting checked by EMS, big bruise. So I don't know. But for you right now, the main question is if you're going to jail, and it's up to him. I don't know.
Am I able to speak with him?
No, not at this time. No. So what I'm gonna do?
All right, so that's the end of the audio.
No.
So even like
stop for anyone if they're asking you to stop your car.
Right, but he's a celebrity though. It's a different view.
No, I'm saying in sarcasm.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
For sure. I totally get what you're saying, and just restating what the cop said. If somebody else stop, you have to stop. You're the number one golfer in the world. You're entering a golf course in a marked car, and somebody else stop. I'm gonna be looking and trying to find who it is. And if he
really wanted an autograph.
And even in Scotty Scheffler's own words, when he says, yeah, that was bad, I know that when talking about dragging the officer, if we take him at that point and go, okay, so he's admitting to that, well, then you also take him at the words of him saying, he didn't say he was the police, he hit me with a flashlight. My window was down to talk to the other police officer, which told me which way to go, and then I hear somebody yell, stop, and I'm not stopping, and I get hit with the flashlight. And as he said, when he eventually stopped the car, he goes, and you can see I was looking out the window trying to find a police officer. Also, the police officer saying, well, we're clearly wearing marked gear. You're wearing a yellow vest that on the back says police.
Could be construction.
Right. So if he turns around and says, see, I've got police on the back, well, yeah, I can see that. But you can't say we're clearly wearing all of this marked gear at night with lights flashing everywhere, and you're trying to get it, and it's raining. The yellow vests should have signified to Scotty Scheffler that they were police and not just security working the front gate. Because if a police officer had looked at him and said, this is the way that you go, and then some random security guard that was working the front gate was like, oh, wait, stop. Like, the cop already told me to go, dude. Sorry, I'm heading in. I got a tea time. And then you get hit with a flashlight. And then, you don't even know who it is. You don't know if it's a security guard or a police officer. And you keep driving. And then you drag the officer. He has a scrape on the knee, tears the pants. Then he comes over when you stop and you're looking and trying to find a police officer. As he said, well, you wouldn't get out of the car. Yeah, but I didn't know that was a police officer. I was trying to find a police officer. So we can't do 50-50 here. We can't, listen to Scotty Scheffler say, yeah, that was bad. I shouldn't have done that. And then ignore the fact that he said he got hit without somebody announcing he was police. And then he wasn't resisting and not getting out of the car because he still didn't know the guy was police because he still hadn't even acknowledged or told Scotty Scheffler, I'm the police. Scotty Scheffler, in his own words, was then looking for a police officer to help him because he didn't know what was going on here because the guy still had not announced himself that, police, I need you to stop, because the previous police officer had already told him to drive and enter this way.
Saddest thing is you're absolutely right, but one sentence is why he has to basically settle instead of actually he should be able to sue them for the fact that you can't just hit someone in the head with a flashlight regardless. You can't come with that kind of force all the time and just for no reason, especially on a marked
I told
car.
the guy to stop. He didn't stop, so I hit him with a flashlight in his head. Now, I didn't say, police, you need to stop.
Yes.
I just yelled, stop. He didn't stop, so I hit him with a flashlight. I grabbed onto the car, and he kept driving.
That's the course of action, I'm sure, and all the training that they do.
I have no idea why.
It's in the train videos, yeah.
I don't know why, after I yelled stop and hit him with a flashlight and didn't announce myself as police, why he wouldn't just stop the car after he has been struck in the head with a flashlight. It's surprising that he wouldn't immediately stop and then ask questions to try to figure out what's going on. As a celebrity at a golf course, the number one golfer in the world, who's probably told to stop a lot of, Scotty over here, Scotty was talking about, Scotty, all the time being told that. I think it's different when it's a celebrity that lives that life that is constantly, we just saw the video, or maybe you haven't, of Jason Kelce and Kylie Kelce trying to go to dinner. And a lady walking up and asking to take a picture with them, and Kylie saying, not right now, we're going to dinner. And the lady losing her mind and starts screaming at Kylie Kelce. And Kylie and the lady start arguing over this non-selfie picture. And the lady saying to Kylie and the Kelces, you'll never be allowed back in this town again, for whatever. Like, that happens probably all the time for the Kelces now. Yeah. Kylie Kelce is now famous because of the podcast. Travis, we know, is extremely famous. Jason Kelce is, Taylor Swift's boyfriend is extremely famous.
There we go.
Kylie Kelce's husband, Jason, is extremely famous with the podcast, and now he's working with, Fox and NFL Sunday and things like that, and being a part of, I think it's Fox, whatever football broadcast that he's a part of now. Like, they live a different life of people yelling and trying to get their attention a lot, that they have to just have blinders on. And continue to move forward, because acknowledging them, then you turn into an AH by ignoring them. I saw it with Patrick Mahomes in Tahoe. He was trying to play golf. He was ignoring as much as he could. Yeah. But then when he was in the rough and next to the ropes and he's sort of lining up his shot and everything, and the guy's like, Patrick, come on, can I get a picture? And he looked over and he's like, sorry, man. And the guy was like, come on, dude, it's one picture. It's one big. Really, you're going to be that guy? And Mahomes like, I'm trying to play a round of golf. If I take a picture with you, I'm taking a picture with everybody. If Mahomes had just ignored him, then he doesn't look like an AH. He's concentrating on the golf course and trying to figure out his shot. He acknowledged him. Now he's a jerk for not taking a picture with the guy and his son. So celebrities, you have to have blinders on, because if I acknowledge that I heard you and I ignore you, now you're a jerk. If you keep walking, well, he's just, not really trying to do anything right now. He's focusing on, he's not trying to be distracted or whatever's going on at that particular time. They're trying to go to dinner or whatever it might be.
The goal of some people that they feel they're entitled to someone else's time it's mind-blowing to me. It makes zero sense how just because someone is a celebrity that you feel like you deserve to have that picture or that autograph as if they're not an actual person doing their own things. Mm-hmm. Like, they're going to dinner. He's playing a golf tournament. If you want an autograph, they'll probably have an autograph line at some point. If you go to a lot of golf tournaments, they'll have certain spots where you can go, here's where you get your autographs. Here's where you can get your pictures. They don't have it on the damn course. And the whole thing with Scotty and the cops, it irritates me to an extent, too, because that one cop now makes the 99% look bad. And I hate this. I think 99% of cops, they're doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Sounds like all the cops had it under control.
Every other cop was aware that Scotty Scheffler was driving through except one guy.
Because he was chasing after, no other cops were chasing after this guy, was after Scotty.
Even after being dragged 10, 15 feet or whatever it
They're
was.
all just looking around like, what?
Every time,
What's this dude doing? Why is he chasing Scotty?
Or a clearly marked PGA Tour vehicle with a player that's coming in this particular entrance. And if the police officer said, hey, this is how I need you to swoop around and you're going to go in this way, I'm assuming that wasn't the first time the police officer told somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad assumption on my part, and that's why the whole thing ended up being the way that it was, is because that was the first time they decided to switch traffic that way, to go against traffic, where the police officer said, well, actually, you need to go this way now. You know what? This is all backed up over there. Why don't you just go this way right there against the flow of traffic on the other side and go ahead and drive in. I know that you're driving on the left side of the road here to get in, but go ahead and do that and go around these buses and everything to be able to enter in. We haven't done this with other people, but you're Scotty Scheffler. Go right ahead. It'll be our little secret. Like, I don't know if that was the conversation, but if there were other cars on video, I'd love to see the camera from across the street. If
I
there
don't
were
think he was
other
the first guy to tee off. There should be people driving in before that.
Especially if he says I was late and I was a little impatient trying to get there, so he probably wasn't the first guy there at the course that morning. I'd love to see across the street if there were other cars that entered the same way as to why this may have been different with this particular officer. If, in fact, the police have Scotty Scheffler on video saying, yes, I know, I apologize, and they didn't feel like it was an over-aggressive use for the police officer in striking Scotty Scheffler. Also, his body cam was off. If they felt like, well, no, he's admitted this, we're going to charge him. He ignored the commands of an officer. He then drugged that officer 10, 15 feet. The officer was injured. We're not going to drop the charges. We're going to continue to charge him. Then why drop the charges? If it happened just completely innocent of the police saying, whoa, hey, you need to stop, sir, police, why are you going this way? And Scotty Scheffler threw up the double birds. Ha ha! Bleep you, copper! 5-0, no thank you. I got a tea time. And just drives past him and, hits him with his car and double birds out the window and keeps driving. I think they're probably going to arrest him and keep the charges there. But if they feel like, yeah, it probably, was a little over-aggressive by the police officer, and this is what was going on with other cars at the time, and somehow this situation happened because of maybe somebody misinterpreting what was happening with a particular car and overreacting to that particular car and not announcing himself as police, and therefore the state and the attorney and the prosecuting attorney may look at it and go, okay, yeah, he did not announce himself, and I could understand in the flashing lights and the rain as to why when somebody walks up and hits him, why he would then keep driving. That would make perfect sense. You know what? We aren't going to charge you. You don't sue us for excessive use of force for hitting you with a flashlight without announcing that we were police, this particular person. And we can't prove that he didn't announce himself or he did announce himself with police because he didn't have his body cam on. So now we have the word of Scotty Scheffler, the police officer saying that he dragged him, Scotty Scheffler saying yes, and Scotty Scheffler also saying the police officer didn't announce himself, I didn't know who he was, and he hit me with a flashlight. You can't prove otherwise because we don't have the body cam. And we're going to take Scotty Scheffler agreeing with the police officer's account of what happened. Then we also have to take Scotty Scheffler's account of how the whole interaction started.
It's not a la carte.
Can't pick or choose. Yeah. Can't pick and choose between those two. It's all or nothing. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. That's the latest. So there will be addressing of the court coming up at noon, and then Steve Romines at 12:30 will have a press conference.
Just a quick thing. And We should have known that there was no attempt to just make it, hey, mistake on both sides here. Let's just go our separate ways. When the cop, Scotty asked, like, hey, can I speak to the officer? Can I apologize? No, absolutely not.
Can I tell him, like, what happened? Like, here's why this happened. I didn't know.
Like, they couldn't have all got together and said, this is the #1 golfer in the world. Big mistake. Huge tragedy this morning. We'll figure it out.
I would have loved to hear that. I would have loved to hear that conversation if Scotty would have been like, you didn't even tell me you were police.
Yeah.
If that guy would have responded and said, well, I didn't have to. Like,
why.
Who knows? Like, what would have been said there? Also, for people out there, all Scotty Scheffler needed to say was, I'm going to talk to my lawyer.
Yep.
I need to talk to the lawyer.
Know.
Did you hear the trepidation though? In that the guy who was talking to the officer's voice, he goes, "Can I talk to him?" He goes, "No."
I'm gonna say no.
He was like trying to think it through. He's like, "Should I? Should I?"
He seems,
no.
and it also could have been like, he's pretty pissed. So probably not. I think we're just gonna let cooler heads prevail. We've got what we think took place. You're going to be arrested. You're not going to talk your way out of this.
Well, that cop seemed fine, by the way. The one he was talking to, to an extent.
Because he had the version of events, and it was, well, this is what happened. Okay, well, you still should have stopped. Yes, I agree. You dragged him 10 to 15 feet. Yes, that was unfortunate. I was a little impatient.
Yeah.
And should have slowed down. Did not know if it was police or security. Why does that matter? You're right. Probably doesn't matter. But all of the circumstances surrounding it as to why it mattered to me, can I talk to him? No. You're not just going to... Essentially, you know how many people try to talk themselves out of getting arrested? Yeah. Happens every day. In fact, almost everybody getting arrested tries to explain their side as to why this is all a misunderstanding. The issue is, explain that to your lawyer, not the police, when everything you say can and will be used against you with the police releasing this audio. So we have the video from across the street and this audio that's out there. And we have the police dropping charges, and the stipulation is that neither side will pursue any more legal action against the other. Scotty Scheffler will not sue. The police will drop the charges. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next. So you want a pop culture conspiracy theory?
I would love one.
Same.
So there's the rumors that are out there that Travis Kelce was going to take part in Happy Gilmore 2. That Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out. Adam Sandler recreating it.
I had no idea there was Happy Gilmore 2 coming out.
So he's coming out with Happy Gilmore 2. And Travis Kelce said that, no, it is not true. He's like, he said, I would love to be in Happy Gilmore 2. I'd love to be a part of any Adam Sandler movie and the Sandman and everything. And they were talking about different characters they can be. But then they started talking about characters they would want to play. And here comes another conspiracy. Travis says, for me, it would probably either be, Bobby Boucher or, somebody else. And then Jason Kelce looks in the camera and said, well, for me, it'd be Wedding Singer for you. And just has this blank stare into the camera, and Travis Kelce loses it and just starts cracking up and, going back and forth and what are you doing? Almost because when Jason Kelce, people are now putting it together. So at the beginning, when we didn't know if Travis and Taylor were together, and Jason Kelce said something about Kylie, weighing in on Travis's dating life, and then paused and looked in the camera. When he and Taylor were dating and people didn't know if they were dating for real or not. And then that one, he goes, I'd be the wedding singer for you. And then stares in the camera and Kelce loses it. There's another conspiracy. People have wondered, are they already engaged?
Married.
No, are they already engaged? People are asking. People are wondering if they have already engaged.
On her finger? I mean, that. Can we not look at hands anymore?
Well, I think if they wanted to announce it publicly, she would wear the ring. But if they're already engaged and they don't want it to be made public for whatever reason, then you probably wouldn't wear the ring and you'd want to keep it quiet. But there would be too many people around the group.
Check the right hand. Check the right hand if it's if they're doing the whole British thing where you put it on the other hand.
There's the Kylie Kelce video right there. And I love Jason Kelce just sitting in the back, just standing back there watching Kylie's got this. She can handle her own. I've seen Kylie in action. That lady ain't got no shot. Kylie is going to win this one.
Just listening to Kylie through podcasts, even we probably have that same sentiment.
Exactly right. And that the lady that was yelling at her was not on Kylie's level, and was sort of on her tippy toes and trying to reach up and even looking up while doing. I think she would have lost that. And it looked like Jason was just like, I'm gonna let my wife handle that. I don't need to come in and be the knight in shining armor and no, she can handle her own. Yeah, she's a homemaker, but, she can also throw down if she needs to. I'll let her do that, whatever vocation she chooses. Maybe it's boxer. Right now it might be. Go ahead and do that, Kylie. I'll let you handle your stuff right now. Just sort of sitting back. And now maybe he's going to be the wedding singer for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. If that's, in fact, who Travis Kelce is engaged to, if they are engaged at all. Maybe he's engaged to somebody else and this whole thing has been a ruse. I don't know.
That's a pretty elaborate ruse.
That's a big conspiracy.
Yeah. A lot of people think it is. The conspiracy.
Whom?
The NFL is rigged. Duh.
Yeah, they're waiting actually until the kickoff week.
No, they're waiting until the election's over to announce that this whole thing was made up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Duh.
For
you
what?
guys not been paying attention to
But
what's
the
really
marriage,
going
they're
on?
Why
wait.
would that matter?
Because the pandemic.
The marriage, they're waiting till football season because it wouldn't matter right now. It's the offseason.
That's a great point.
It's not going to make the NFL any money.
Whenever Tom Brady makes the next news, that's when they drop this. That makes the most sense to me. Tom Brady's like, I'm actually coming back for one more year, and then all of a sudden Travis Kelce goes, ha-ha, we've been saving this.
I just love that. It's also because Jason Kelce, they may not be engaged, but he knows what everybody's talking about. So then him playing along and saying, well, for me, it'd be the wedding singer for you.
Like when it first came out, he referred to Jason as TMZ on an interview or something after he was doing that.
Because he kept bringing it up, and he's like, dude, why do we have to talk about this?
All these shows.
All right, we got to talk. And Jason Kelce always, all right, we got to talk about it. All right, and Travis like, do we?
You're onto something, really.
Do we? So it's either Jason's playing along with the conspiracy theories and saying that, or Jason's dropping Easter eggs here or there as to what's really going on in Travis's life that he doesn't want to make public, but Jason's needling his brother. Needling knows that we don't really want this public. Oh, that's fine, a little needle. I didn't say anything. I just said that if you were ever to get married, I would love to play the wedding singer for your marriage. I didn't say it was happening right now.
Devil's advocate, though, would this be too big of like a announcement for Taylor as far as like the girls' side where they like to like announce and have this whole thing and it's a
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
spectacle?
Like it would be
like he wouldn't do that.
No, it wouldn't be on a podcast. No, it wouldn't be on a podcast.
That's
He's
the only
just sort
devil's
of
advocate.
he's just sort of needling it and maybe dropping some Easter eggs where if they actually get engaged or are engaged and they want to make the elaborate announcement, it would happen, and maybe it's outside of a part of when she's touring. Maybe it's like a 3 or 4 week break of touring that they make the announcement or something. Sterling, this is a big freaking deal. Do you not understand this?
Like a royal
Am
wedding for
am I
America.
the only
It's the
one
royal
who
wedding for
doesn't
the-
care?
You are the only one that doesn't care.
I feel
In
like
this
I'm
room,
the
in this building, you are the only person that doesn't care.
Like, I'm happy for them if they're happy.
My God, man. Have some pride in yourself.
I just
Yes, Sterling.
don't care. Like, I'm happy for them. I don't care.
If you're one of them guys that is not enjoying the relationship with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and the attention it puts on Kansas City,
It's great.
I will fight
It's
you.
Just, who
I am at
cares?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
'Cause I will fight you.
I will fight you.
It's
Okay?
their own personal life. Let
You
them
stay
have
away
their
from
life.
me, my show, and my family.
I am at Buffalo Wild Wing.
I will fight you.
Because I will fight you.
I don't care about their personal life. That's their It's personal. That's their
Oh, really?
personal life.
You don't care so much that you named yourself after Patrick Mahomes' firstborn child. You don't care so much that you named yourself Sterling Holmes after Sterling Mahomes.
Just like 28 years prior to them, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
now we're bringing up details.
Sterling
oh,
Holmes
now
is the first human to fight for celebrities' privacy, for sure.
Seriously,
Way to die on that hill.
Which is hilarious because we do this and we talk sports, and I guess that kind of counts. But like the personal stuff, I'm not a massive. Like that should be their stuff. That's their life.
Oh, I don't
That's
disagree.
their life.
I don't disagree. What I enjoy about it.
Unless it affects them on the field, then I
Well,
have.
clearly she was the distraction. Is why the Chiefs were struggling. And then what happened? She went on her tour somewhere else, and they went and won the Super Bowl. She was at the games, Jason. Shut up! Stop bringing up facts. I object. Why? Because it's detrimental to my argument. That's why I object.
So I think
Sustained.
Joshua Williams is going to play more
Overruled.
than Jalen Watson. That's what I think.
Yeah, but it's tied in because Jared Wiley, he might play if it's a fall wedding. What if the Kelseys get married in the fall? She wants a fall wedding. That doesn't seem like it's the smartest thing in the world to do if you're dating a football player or marrying a football player. If they have, that's when they work. You know, it's busy season for him. That's what's called busy season.
How long's the NFL season? There's like 6 months, you'd say?
It's long. You know,
6 or 7?
starting next year, they might have like middle February to like late June to figure out anything, any marriage whatsoever.
And I'm all joking aside, if they are doing this, do they announce start of the NFL season so the whole NFL season is like the lead up?
No, they announce Wednesday before the first game of the
Right,
season.
so how
Roger
long is
Goodell
Ra-
has
you know
already
what?
written this out, guys.
I'm ready to talk Rashee Rice now. I thought I wouldn't get to this point, but here I am. How long we think he's going to get suspended, fellas?
Probably, I don't know, does he come back right after they announce the engagement?
Oh, my gosh.
think he's
Generic
part of
Prince, is he the third
wedding
running
party.
back now? Keontae Ingram, is it a guy who's not currently on the roster? Who's it going to be?
Their first child, if it's a boy, will be sort of the Prince of Pop.
This one's out of my pay grade. I don't know how to jump into this.
Yeah.
I've been thinking. I'm like, maybe I should
Everybody's
jump in
out of
now.
their pay grade. It's Tay-Tay and it's Travis Kelce. Their pay grade is extremely high. We're all out of our depths with their pay grade. Anything else, Sterling, you'd like to change the topic that I can then reverse back around?
Jake, help me. Jake.
Yeah, help him. He wants to know if they're engaged or not. So help him. Did Jason Kelce drop an Easter egg?
Well,
This far after
I think
Easter?
he did.
Kadarius Toney would drop the Easter egg if they wanted to really do it right.
Well done.
I like that.
Well done.
I like that, absolutely. Well, Kadarius Toney, we know, is not going to be the ring bearer because we need somebody to hold on to that thing while, they
They
get
give it
married.
to Sky Moore and he's running the wrong route. He's like, oh,
Ends up-
shoot. I'm
ends
at a
up in the
different
wrong-
wedding.
Ends up in the wrong spot. Rashee Rice is late getting there and gets pulled over, so he's not at the actual wedding because he was driving too fast. Anything else, Sterling?
I'm going to listen to Iron Maiden during the break.
Is there a cool Iron Maiden song that I could use as a reference that would be great for this one?
Just need something. I need to feel something. This I will say, is delicious. Everyone listen, I've had a drink to get through this Taylor Swift segment with Jason.
Why?
I've had to bust out the Tropical Tank 7. Very good, by the way.
Why would you need to drink to get through the segment? This is a great. We're enlightening the listeners about what's going on in the lives of one of the most famous people in the world that lives right down the street from us.
Justin Fields laughs off kick return idea, not here to do that. Well, he's also not there to be the starting quarterback,
Well,
apparently.
here's the thing. I mean, he can worry about the kick return, but I'll tell you this about Travis Kelce. He's no longer playing the fields. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Josh Kaiser coming up at noon. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Jack Johnson, Dylan Michaels hanging out with us. Coming up at the top of the noon hour, we will talk with Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast, while Scotty Scheffler's attorney and the prosecutors will be dropping all charges there in Louisville around 12:30. They'll have a press conference and et cetera. We will talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. 913-912-4810 is the text line. We've talked a lot of Royals in this particular show so far. We'll talk some Chiefs as well. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer. We'll get a Royals ZOU update. And we have yet to talk about the Negro League's stats being officially integrated into Major League Baseball stats. And one of the kisses of irony in all of sports is that forever, Ty Cobb was the batting champion and the highest batting average career of any Major League player. And the extremely well-known racist has now been surpassed by Josh Gibson. Mwah. Mwah. Oh, he is rolling over in his grave. He is looking up from wherever he's at right now and just imagining what it's like to have a person of color have a higher batting average career than Ty Cobb.
Didn't Bob Gibson beat out Barry Bonds' stats as well now?
Josh.
Excuse me.
yeah.
No, Bob Gibson might have as well. I don't know. But Josh Gibson, yes, with OPS and slugging percentage and things like that. Yeah, I mean, he was just unbelievable. And the man played the final 3 years of his career / life with a brain tumor that he decided not to have them operate on, in which he battled headaches constantly because the tumor was growing. And he did that in the final 3 years while playing with that, was OPSing at like 1.2. Like, I mean, unbelievable. Why do you not want? I get it. I get it.
Can't
I
talk.
understand
Thanks,
not
Dylan.
wanting to
Just-
Sterling to continue to talk. He did enough in the previous segment. I get it. Dylan.
That hurts. Just because I disagree with some. No, because I think what's interesting is some of the pushback is, well, they didn't play in the major league, so how is it going to be major league statistics? But like Gibson's 466 average came in 1943. The previous highest average in the National League was in 1894. That's not really Major League Baseball. It's the Boston Bean Eaters. Like, you haven't heard of any of these teams. I don't know. You know, do you count Ichiro's statistics and, you know, over there in Japan? Like, I understand there's never going to be a complete correct answer for this, but I have no issues with Josh Gibson, who we all know was one of the greatest players of all time, finally getting his recognition. Like, I have no issue with, you know, all of a sudden Josh Gibson's
Satchel Paige getting like 20 more wins.
Yes.
Jackie Robinson getting 40 more hits.
Satchel he played? Satchel Paige? What position?
Yeah, Minnie Minosa surpassing 2,000 hits now in his career.
Well, Larry Doby, who played in both leagues.
Yeah.
Now, though, like, again, there's never going to be a perfect answer to this, but I think this is the right answer for this, because we're not talking about something that was in like the 1980s. We're going back, and when you're overtaking something in the 1940s, overtaking something in 1894, well, I think there's at least some comparisons made that, well, yeah, the Negro Leagues in 1943 for the Homestead Grays, they were probably more talented than the 1894 Boston Bean Eaters.
I think that's probably the best example here, is that we're not talking about like the minor leagues here.
No.
There were unbelievably talented players in the Negro Leagues, and in Major League Baseball, you can't sit here and argue that the talent level was that much different. I mean, at that point in time, you saw, Josh Gibson was facing Satchel Paige, right? Babe Ruth faced a lot of guys that you could tell the name right now and people wouldn't believe it's a real name. And that's, honestly, in Major League history, that's been the knock on Babe Ruth. Like,
Seven Fingers Lafferty.
Yeah.
You know, struck him out once, but
Well,
he had seven home runs
if
off
you
him.
have 7 fingers, you have an advantage.
He only had 7 total out of the 10. Yeah, that's either a made-up name or a real person. You guys decide.
That's what it was back then. And I think for Babe Ruth, you look at some of the numbers, I think the biggest argument against him is people said, well, the talent level wasn't that extreme back then. He was facing, how hard were they throwing back then?
Well, the problem is, like, if you want to exclude the Negro League's stats, which I haven't seen much pushback, and if they do, just ignore them, is that, you know, back in the 60s, Major League Baseball decided to integrate stats from 6 other major leagues that weren't, you know, MLB. It was the American that played for 1 year, the
American Association,
the Players League, the Federal League that played for 2 years in 1914 and 15. That wasn't Major League Baseball, but players that played in the Federal League in those 2 years had their stats officially counted in Major League Baseball.
Correct.
So they included 6 other, quote, major leagues into the official MLB statistics. So if anybody wants to argue, and again, I haven't seen, but I even saw one of the rarest interactions in the history of Twitter yesterday when this announcement was made, and somebody replied and said, you know, they shouldn't, you know, count towards Major League Baseball stats because when that was going on, they weren't facing Major League Baseball players, and those are different stats. And somebody replied and said, well, you act like all of Major League Baseball faced everybody else. Said Babe Ruth had 3 at-bats against the Cincinnati Reds in his career. And the guy replied and said, you know what, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that. And I was like, put that in the Louvre. Frame that. Put that. It wasn't just, well, bleep you, racist! I hate you! Well, I hate you! I hate you! Libtard, racist, hate you, screaming, all caps, exclamation points, block, clearly you're an idiot, tell me this, I'll wait.
Well, that's why you want to have actual conversations with
I know,
people
it was good.
with nuance, and that's why it's like
It was a
if
great
someone has a
interaction. I loved
different
it.
if someone has a different viewpoint, it's not immediately get defensive. It's okay. Why do you think it's this way? And let's see if we can try and find some common ground.
Wait, here's a point, counterpoint. I didn't think they played against major league players. Okay, well, remember, the American League and National League never played each other, so you've got half the league that these teams never saw unless they made the World Series.
Yeah, and also if they would have integrated, how many of those major league players that were white would have not even been on a team because they weren't good enough to hack it?
Might have been, yeah.
Well, I mean, both leagues, too. We're talking about the best of the best because at both times, the bottom era, I said this with every single era, it's not necessarily the stars get better.
Mm-hmm.
The stars would be stars in any generation. Josh Gibson, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, all those guys, Jackie Robinson, they'd be stars in today's day and age. It's the guys, I would say NBA, the bench. In baseball, it's the bottom half of the order. It's the starting and pitching. Satchel Paige would be a stud today. Sandy Koufax would be a stud today. But pitchers 3 through 5 and the bullpen arms, what would they be like today? The stars were always going to be the stars. I understand in the Negro leagues as well as Major League Baseball back then, the bottom half of the order, the bottom half of the pitching rotation, they weren't great probably, but it was the same in both leagues. It's not like there was a massive difference in my opinion.
Yeah, Willie Mays gained 10 hits from his time with the Birmingham Black Barons. Jackie Robinson picked up 49 more hits this time with the Monarchs. You mentioned Barry Bonds and the OPS record that Barry Bonds held from 2004 of a 1.421 OPS, which was the all-time single-season mark. He drops to third behind Josh Gibson's 1.474 in 1937 and Josh Gibson's 1.435 in 1943. So Barry Bonds is now third, with Josh Gibson holding 1 and 2.
And no alleged roid conversation now.
That's true. That's true. He was just on red meat and Coca-Cola.
Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Let's talk with Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast, joining us here in the zone to talk some Royals and whatever else may come up over the next some odd minutes that we're having this conversation. Josh, welcome to the show. What's up, brother?
Appreciate you guys having me as usual. Not much. It's weird talking to you on a Wednesday, but but here we are. Great Memorial Day. Already been to the pool twice, and I haven't gotten the water out of my ears. So now I'm cotton ball ear guy at the pool now. So it's been a great start to the summer so far.
Yes, cotton ball Josh instead of Jones is
cotton
what you're
ball
going to be.
Josh, cotton ball kid.
Yes, that's right. For a while now. So all right. So you're right. It's weird. On Monday we're typically talking, and I'm like, God, it's the beginning of the week. I got 4 more shows of this, 2 more hours of this first show. Let's see if we can get through the next 20 minutes. 20 minutes with Josh. See what that. Now it's a Wednesday. I feel great because we are officially past the hump. Noon was hump day for this show, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2. So you have got us over the hump, Josh. Well done. Thank you. Congratulations.
Kicking off the downside of the week should be written on my gravestone.
All downhill.
That's where
from
I'm
here.
at now.
Josh
Yep,
Kaiser,
all downhill
from here. That's right.
That's right. I love it.
Here's here's my great transition. Okay, so all downhill from here for Josh and the rest of this week, but. It's been downhill the last 3 games for the Royals after that fantastic 8-game winning streak, and that was a lot. Those 8 games were a lot more fun than the last 3 for some reason. I can't quite put my finger on why I enjoyed those 8 games more than these last 3. But in all seriousness, these last 3 games where, they've had opportunities, they've been in games, they've lost by a run, a couple runs, a few runs. What have you seen these last 3 games that maybe stands out that maybe you weren't seeing in the previous 8 when they were winning and winning by a decent margin in a good portion of those 8 games?
Yeah, I think it's back to the inconsistencies that we saw at the beginning of the season, especially from the offense. Even though they have mounted some comebacks, that's kind of been the story of the days, I think, in my opinion. But we've got solid starting pitching that seems to be grinding out a little bit more here lately in the last week or so, but they have been playing better teams, so I think that's to be expected. The offense is the offense. It's always been inconsistent, but we're going to kind of ride those roller coasters as they come and kind of deal with them in the past, or deal with them as they come. So I think the main thing that we haven't seen is Garrett Hampson is carrying this entire roster on his back, and it's just one of the weirdest realities that we live in right now. So it's cool to kind of see him getting the credit he deserves for having a good, short sample size span or whatever. But it is nice to see him taking, some good hacks at the ball and producing at the plate. With the glove, a little bit trickier of a conversation. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the good things, and that's where it's at.
Yeah, no, Garrett Hampson's something I wanted to talk about here in just a little bit. But you're right, the inconsistencies, and it's sort of a Jekyll Hyde, almost flip of the switch inconsistencies, because they had the 6 straight games of scoring at least 7 runs, and in the last 3 games combined they've scored 8 runs. So the water faucet was turned off. And heck, before that stretch, going back to a week from Sunday, what was that, May 19th, that game against the A's, when they started that stretch of scoring 7 runs in 6 straight games, they had 10 games all season where they scored at least 7 runs, and then they just started getting crazy hot against the A's for only 1 of those games, and then against the Detroit Tigers for 3 and the Tampa Bay Rays for 2 of those games. So it wasn't like they played a 4-game series against the A's and a 4-game series against the White Sox, and they had 8 games where they scored 7 runs, etc. Like, that wasn't the case. They were going up against some good teams, and we haven't seen that the last 3 games. And, is it just the starting pitching? Is it one of those to where they were hot, they were riding the momentum? You can't ride the momentum that long. That wave of it eventually is going to turn over and hit the shore, and maybe that's what's going on these 3 games. Something else, they start to struggle, they start to press a little bit. Maybe all of the above, but the inconsistencies are there. But it seems like it was just overnight that 8, 8, 10, 8, 8, 7, 1, 5, 4 of those scored in the 9th inning, and then 2.
Yep. Yeah, it kind of back to the drought has begun type of thing, and you're always going to be in the game because the starting pitching has been as good as it is, but you definitely like to see a little bit more consistency from that offense to where you can at least rely on 3-4 runs a game. And there was that crazy stat where they'd only lose like 3 games in the first 40 games if they had just scored 4 runs a game or something like that. That's wild to think that they were that close and it's that thin of a margin. But that's kind of where we are now, and that's fine to live that way as long as you're hitting timely times and situationally and you're responding in late innings like they are. That's fine as long as you get back with that. But you definitely like to – I think that definitely starts there in the outfield for sure.
Visiting with Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. Okay, what do they do then? We've talked about this. This has been a common theme of the season, and it's been one of those, hey, how long do you remain patient? Is it the 40-game mark? Is it the 25%, 20% of the season? They're now fully through a third of the season, and, there's a decent number of at-bats, a couple hundred for most of these players that are on this team. How soon, because we've wondered this for a while, but how soon do you think the Royals might start then seriously considering making a change to the corner outfield spot? Not just considering it, let's look at different options, let's come up with our Rolodex of answers here, and then if we get to that point, here's what we might do. It's a third of the way through the season, and they still have the dead last worst outfield in baseball in weighted runs created and OPS, and a good portion of that is their corner outfielders that just aren't producing.
I think it's already being seriously considered. We've seen multiple reports saying that they've already started internally talking about candidacy. They've been linked to Luis Arraez before he was dealt to San Diego. So I think that's actually already being considered. And Q's job is to make sure that the tools and the weapons that are out there, he's using them to the max capacity and trying to get guys right at the right times and taking the opportunities to do that. So I think that's where he is. But as far as the front office goes, I think they have already started seriously considering what they can do to kind of solidify the lineup, especially as guys kind of start to get a little bit injured, a little bit banged up, and miss some time. I think that that's absolutely on the table and probably actively being done. It is interesting to see that they've done all this and they haven't pulled the trigger on like Drew Waters. They haven't pulled trigger on a guy like as much. I mean, he got called up recently, Nick Lofton. He could play in the outfield. They have options that, in theory could be pulled up without any cost to acquire, but at the same time, they still haven't. So there's still works on guys in Omaha that seem like viable options that just aren't getting the opportunity. So it is interesting to kind of see that dance being done. But I think the conversations have definitely started on how they can kind of improve those spots for sure.
Yeah, and if it's trade, if it's somebody in the minor leagues, et cetera, I've seen Nate Eaton's name brought up a couple of times, and that's something that quite frankly I hadn't really given much thought. Maybe wrote him off just simply because of the fact that of last year. But Jacob Millam talked about that and went through like the likely candidates to come up and be, a replacement or somebody that could help out with this Royals team. And I think it was he that had the 3 different slash lines, A, B, and C next to each other and said, pick which one you want. And the obvious choice was Nate Eaton, but you didn't know it was Nate Eaton. It's like, here's A, here's B, here's C. Well, B stood out. B's Nate Eaton. And that was a surprise to me because, quite frankly, I'd sort of written him off. I was paying attention to Prado and Massey and some others and even Gavin Crossford down the line, but, et cetera. Is Nate Eaton somebody that, could be a realistic possibility to come up and help out and play, some different positions? And is he somebody the Royals may give another chance to? He broke spring training with the club last year and showed that he was not ready for that extended look in the major leagues.
I mean, maybe it's kind of tough to see. I got a running spreadsheet, really nerded out on some of this stuff.
Nice, love it.
You really kind of have to dig. You kind of have to dig on some of the Baseball Savant Statcast data in Omaha and then kind of collect it and aggregate it and accumulate it by yourself. And that's what I've kind of been doing for both the Omaha pitchers and the hitters. And Eaton has a 34% chase rate, whereas a guy like Drew Waters is a 32.4. So there is quite a bit of chase rate, and I know the Royals definitely look at that internally as an indicator of whether someone's going to be competitive at bats at the major league level. Drew Waters can kind of do it because his exit velocities are still there. He's got some pretty solid pop. And Nate Eaton doesn't have that, despite having a pretty good OPS. His BABIP right now is like 382. So I don't know if it's something that you could really, bet on and feel good about it. You could just be bringing him up to strike out 40% of the time again because he's chasing everything. He's not when he swings, he's making good contact, but chasing way too much for it to be real consistent. That's kind of the same thing with Drew Waters. Mm-hmm. He's also chasing quite a bit, but his exit velocities are kind of helping him with that. A guy like Nick Prado is kind of in the middle of all that. He's not chasing, but he's not making great contact. He's not, the exit velocities are not what you want them to be, especially from a first baseman. So it's a tough option as well there. A guy that I think is somewhat intriguing that no one's really talking about is John Rave. He's 26 years old, not really a ton of prospect pedigree around him. He can play 3 outfield positions pretty well, more of a hit for contact kind of guy. Doesn't have great exit velocity, but the plate discipline is there. So he's a guy that I could potentially look at. If we need another Kyle Isbell, John Rave might be that guy. But you're not really going to get that power that that this lineup desperately needs at that point. And at that case, you kind of have to roll the dice with Hunter Renfroe. You kind of have to roll the dice with Nelly Velazquez. And like it or not, you kind of have to wait for MJ Melendez to see if he can do in the second half what he did last year. So there are options. None of them are great. Another guy, Jacob also mentioned Logan Porter, and that's a guy that I think is interesting, especially if Vinny, has to go on the IL with this contusion. I think he's day-to-day, and they don't really expect an IL stint, but I think Logan Porter's a potential replacement to actually bring up some good pop and also give you some good insurance behind the plate, too.
Visiting with Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. All right, let's talk Michael Massey. And, he came back from the back injury, started the season on the IL with the back, and, was swinging the bat really well. And it's like, all right, here you go. This is a guy that maybe you can bat fifth in your lineup and maybe 1 through 5. And if you get something else from somebody else, hey, now you get 1 through 6. And now you're only dealing with 1/3 of the lineup with Massey in there as opposed to Adam Frazier filling in for Michael Massey. And then the back injury flares up yet again, and he goes on the IL. So this is now twice dating back to March that he has had an issue with his back. The unfortunate hand laceration, that took place last year that he went on the IL with. He had a significant injury at Illinois. Is he slowly showing the Royals that, when it comes to injuries, he's not going to be somebody that's going to be reliable, and he might be, unfortunately for him, injuring his way out of the future plans of this team?
It could be. The back injuries, like you said, they don't really generally go away. Mm-hmm. It's usually a thing as you kind of move forward. So that is something to keep an eye on. As far as like a hand laceration and being like injury prone, I don't really. He's not Arian Foster, I don't think, at this point. Soft tissue god.
Yeah.
But, it's certainly concerning. A back is something that'll zap your power. You can't do anything in baseball without your back. It's not like you have Tommy John in your non-throwing arm and you're still able to take DH rips like Shohei Ohtani. So you got to have that back. Breaking news. And if you're not going to be able to rely on that, it's going to be tough to rely on you in the future. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't be productive on this major league roster. We see that what he could do to a lineup, what he could do to the middle of the infield, and when his back is right, why not try to get every ounce that you can from him, and then try to supplement from there. A guy like Nick Lofton, a guy like Adam Frazier, a guy like Garrett Hampson at this point, they have guys that are versatile that can fill in those spots if you need, so you might as well just keep Michael Massey in for the production that you do get from him in the future.
I love what they're getting from Michael Garcia at third base. It's great. And the play last night, he's Gold Glove caliber over that third base, and he's swinging the bat well again. Started off hot, went into a slump. Now he's back to looking like Michael Garcia. Do the Royals have something in the pipeline that, somebody, or is it maybe a trade candidate to come up and play third base for this team and not have to worry about, okay, is it Massey, is it Frazier at second base? Okay, Garcia is now your second baseman, and you have an amazing up-the-middle double play combination. And Massey's a good defender, but again, if he's injured and a back injury and different things like that, do you have a guy at third base that maybe profiles better with, giving you more slug, and your middle infielder becomes Michael Garcia and Bobby Witt, and not worrying about if Michael Massey is going to be healthy or who's going to fill in that role, whether it be Hampson or Frazier, and hopefully you get Massey back. Is there somebody or a scenario you look at that somebody can come up and play and be an everyday third baseman if it's something the Royals may examine of, we're going to extend Michael Garcia. He's going to be a part of the Royals for a long time. He's either going to be our third baseman or he's going to be our second baseman, and we got our up-the-middle double play combination for the next 6 years.
I mean, if we're talking like something in the near future, I think we're looking at a guy that's interesting there in Omaha. C.J. Alexander is getting a lot of run at third base. His exit velocities are really, really good, but he has a big swing and miss and chase issue. So you might get the stereotypical third base hot corner power from him, but you're also potentially looking at a 230 maybe hitter. So you're kind of taking the good. There's also Devin Mann, who could play both corners, both in the infield and the outfield, who might profile a little bit like Nick Lofton. He doesn't have much of the exit velocities, not much of the power, but he gets on base a lot. So it kind of just depends on what your poison is there as far as the short term goes. Obviously, Nick Lofton can also play over there as well because he can play literally anywhere. So there's options there in the short term. I think in the long term, looking at a guy like Caden Wallace, obviously, I don't know how high on him I am. He does a lot of things really, really good, but not a lot that are like popping off the stat pages very often. So I think that's kind of the wait and see with him. But those are the options, kind of the short term and long term, that I can kind of see, and then see what you got on that back end. But right now, like you said, Michael Garcia is doing what he can to hold it down there at the hot corner with defense. Like you said, last night's play was awesome, crazy. We were recording in the middle of that. My jaw just dropped in the middle of the point because I saw what was happening on the screen. But it would be interesting to see if they could get a little bit more slug that they're missing and get that at the hot corner and then move Michael Garcia to second base. That would be huge for that offense, I think.
Yeah, and maybe that's a trade. Maybe that's something that they figure out that, in the offseason, a trade that hurts to solidify that part of it. I was hoping Michael Massey would be the answer and coming back from the back injury, and it's like, okay, he looks fine. He looks good, and boy, there's some pop in that bat. I mean, you're getting that pop from a second baseman who plays a really good second base as well. It's not a guy that, is going to be all hit, no defense, but you got him at second base, so hey, that's fine. But he's, really good glove. I just, the injury last year and, now twice with the back injury this year, it's scary stuff when you're dealing with a back injury. And I don't know that the Royals at this point move forward and say, all right, 2025, our second baseman is Michael Massey. It's like at 2025, our second baseman is question mark, maybe Massey, maybe Garcia, third base, Garcia, question mark, and then you can still have some maneuverability with that. If it is something that maybe they're examining of signing Garcia to a long-term deal. I mean, I don't know if even that's something they would be examining. I think it would be great if they did, because I think we're seeing another season of Garcia being this guy. So I think there's going to be more data, Josh, that there's an expected level of what you would get from Michael Garcia. The expected level of defense is going to be there, but the bat has rebounded, and he's, doing those things offensively that we've seen him do the last couple of years that, I wonder if that's, starting to become part of the conversation. If the Royals want to do that, you don't have to break the bank like Bobby Witt, or if Michael Garcia would be interested in signing a long-term deal or just play the arbitration game for a few years. But, I wouldn't hate it if they're, looking down that route of saying, let's get Garcia taken care of, because we know at minimum we've got a glove that could be a gold glove at certain positions.
And I do wonder and I'm not saying I want to do this, I love Michael Garcia as well. I would be curious to see what his value would be shortstop to another team that's needing a
absolutely.
shortstop.
That's a good point.
If you can get value at maybe a third baseman that could be your, mid to long-term option that can be a more traditional role that does kind of fill a lot of voids that this offense is lacking while not losing a bunch of production on the defensive side, you got to pursue it a little bit. I think that would be a huge trade ship, especially if a team is like a shortstop away from them. So that is an option I'd like to pursue. But like I said, I love Michael Garcia. I think he brings not only the defense, not only the leadoff hitter aspect, which I love both of those, but he has probably the most swagger on field than anybody else in that lineup, which I love. I even watched him in the minors. Like, that dude just looks like he's just about that action. I love that.
He stands
about him.
on business, damn it.
I think that he does stand on business. I love that. It's just good to see that dynamic and see that talent kind of mesh with this locker room, and I think it's something that good teams do have as well. So.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get rid of Michael Garcia by any means, but I do think that keeping ears open about something like that is something that could benefit this team long term.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I mean, if somebody's going to look at him and say, this is our everyday shortstop, and he plays defense like that, and, you used him as a leadoff hitter, heck, we could use him down in the lineup. Maybe their lineup is stacked, and you look at 8 or 9. I mean, not saying this is where you would go with because – the Yankees already have some answers. But, like, for instance, DJ LeMahieu this year was going to start the season as the leadoff hitter for the Yankees. Then he got injured. He had the foot injury. He's batting 9th now in his return because the Yankees lineup is just different now than what they thought it would be. It's mashing. And so it's like, well, where are we going to put LeMahieu in? Let's put him at number 9. He was supposed to be number 1. Now he's like a second leadoff hitter. So maybe that's something for Garcia that, somebody looks at it and says he can be down in our lineup, and the Royals were using him as a leadoff hitter, and this guy's our shortstop, etc. We'll see what they would bring back. We know the Royals certainly value their players a pretty decent amount. And if they value him more than other teams value him, then they wouldn't move him, and he'll be a part of this team moving forward. I just wonder, if you start to get into the long-term deal, he's not a free agent until 2030. So it ain't exactly like he's, going to be gone in a couple of years. But if they want to, pay him like a Bobby Witt, not the cash, but the years, and say, this is a set salary for you. We know what it's going to be. We can build and plan around that and not go year by year into arbitration and say, well, that was $5 more million than we were planning for Michael Garcia, so now we got to find that somewhere else. No, you plan that if you know what the set salary is going to be.
Yes, and there is security in knowing that. That's knowing that this is locked up for the long term. It makes you stable enough to be able to go and improve elsewhere and know that is taken care of. So that is definitely a factor into this for sure. All
right, last two for you. These are quicker ones. These are just simply about the way the Royals can play the rest of the way. The most wins after a 100-loss season, the 1967 Cubs and the 1989 Orioles both won 87 games. The most wins after a 100-loss season. The Royals, to win 88 games, would need to go 54-52 the rest of the way. Do they break the record? Are the Royals the new record holder for most wins after losing 100 games the year before?
I have avoided making any kind of optimistic takes really since this began. And I'm going to be honest with you, that is just not my style, Jason. So, yes, they will be the new crown holders for the biggest turnaround in one season after the end of the 2024 season when we're dancing in the postseason, Jason. Let me make that perfectly clear.
Okay, next one for you. So that was the most wins after a 100-loss season. The biggest leap forward in wins from one year to the next, the 1903 Giants won 36 more games than the year before. The Royals would need to get to 93 wins to win 37 more games than the year before. That means they'd have to go 59-47 the rest of the way. Do they break that record as well?
I mean, that's tough to do.
That's a
little
more.
They're doing that. Of course they're doing that. There's no doubt about
Bleep,
it.
yes!
Doing that. This is a different season with a different regime and a different mentality in the city of Kansas City. Give me it all. Give me the buying. I'm buying all that stock. Give it to me. I'm
putting 3 exclamation points next to the yes with that one for you.
Give me 4. Give me 4. I'm not settling for 3. Give me 4.
One more exclamation point. You've got 4 of them now. You got 4. All day, all done. Anybody looking for? We got 4.5, 4.5. Looking for 5, 5, 5. We got 4 right here, over here. 4, 4, 4. All day, all done. And sold to Josh Kaiser with 4 exclamation points and a yes. You got it.
You are really good at it. Are you side hustle and auctioneering? Is this?
It's just.
Are you getting doxed right now?
You being around Sterling, sort of you sort of get the auctioneering bug when you're just around him. In general, just by his family. So I kind of feel like that's what it's about. I mean, I've been around him for a couple of months here, and just by osmosis, I think, by proxy, that I've picked up that.
59, got 59, 59, 59, 59, 69, 69, 69, 79, 79, 70 now.
I mean, I've always thought, like, what if Jim Rome was an auctioneer? And I now know it sounds exactly what it sounds exactly like.
What a great bid, dear Rome. I'm gonna go $32. Signed, the guy over there. What a great email.
Arugula.
Great email. Rackham, he got the prize. Great.
Rackham. I don't get this, okay? I understand
what
that I sound like him, but it's not on purpose.
Oh.
It's not like...
Oh, he's talking about you. I thought he was talking about me.
Okay. I talk fast.
You do?
But I do
You're
this.
sitting next to me. You now talk like a person riding a tricycle compared to Ferrari.
When I get
in
heated,
terms of speed.
When I get heated, I talk fast. When Dylan riles me up, that's when the fast-talking Stu comes out.
Fast-talking Stu?
Okay. But when... But right now, I'm just a man eating a banana, drinking a beer, on air, just calm as can be. And for some reason, that sounds like Jim Rome. When I have to enunciate, that's when it comes out.
What a great enunciation. Here's the thing. You can never sit in the studio with me and be confused with somebody who talks fast. It's just not gonna happen, Sterling. It's just you can't take that title. You can't have it. I mean, I've already taken.
Now
enough.
I have to know what Jim Rome sounds like eating a banana.
Dude, I crush a lot of bananas, man. I'm on this health kick, and that's why, of course, I'm drinking a Tank 7, Tropical Tank 7, because it counteracts. The banana counteracts the beer.
Yeah.
I got chicken in there. I got chicken and corn I grilled last night on the old Traeger. Smoked it.
Smoked it.
You really don't hear. I mean, you really don't hear how so
You go hear
close
it.
you sound
Yeah,
to
so
Jim
weird.
Rome with every word
Smoked
you said.
it.
Smoked it.
Smoked it. Dear Rome,
smoked it.
You should try what's inside me. Signed, Banana Peel. What a great email.
What a great trip.
Come on,
Traeger makes the great
clones.
smokers.
Clones.
Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast. Josh, you're the man as always. Appreciate it, brother. We'll talk in 5 days from now. All right.
That sounds great. I looking forward to it as always. Appreciate you guys.
All right. There's Josh Kaiser, One Royal Way podcast.
Rack 'em.
You know, we started the auctioneer because I asked him if the Royals would end up with the biggest leap forward in wins from one year to the next. 1903 New York Giants won 36 more games than the year before. That would mean the Royals would need 37 wins, so they'd have to get to 93 wins from where they are right now. They'd have to go 59-47. And he said, emphatic yes, they are going to hold that record. So I said yes, and I gave him 3 exclamation points, and he said, no, I want 4. I want 4 exclamation points. And so then I started doing we got 3 over here. We're looking for 4, 4.5, 4.5, looking for 5, looking for 5. We got 5, we got 4 right now, 4. Come on, everybody. It's just money. It's just exclamation points. We got 4 right here, 4.5, 4.5, looking for 4.5, 5. Anybody got 5, 4.5, 4.5, 4 and a quarter, 4 and a quarter, 4 and a quarter. All day, all done. Sold to the man over there with 4 exclamation points.
You do know my mom and myself do auctions.
That's why I said that.
You actually so you didn't know that, okay?
So that's why I said by osmosis, by proxy is why
we're
I've
actually doing
picked up the auctioneer.
The Chiefs Ambassador one tomorrow.
Oh.
So fun fact, we're doing that one, and then we do Big Slick.
Oh, I got hired to do the Big Slick. They said the one that they typically have, they've moved on. They've decided to switch out the auctioneer.
My mom and myself.
Of
so
the,
we're
typical. You didn't know that? I didn't want to be the one to break the news to you. Oh, my goodness. I feel terrible now.
Bummer.
I feel so bad. Like, I feel like Jason Kelsey spoiling the news that Travis and Taylor are engaged. in case people didn't hear the 11 o'clock hour and heard the end of that segment, I don't know that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged. I don't know that. So as we said going to break, that Jason Kelce breaking the news that Tay-Tay and TK were engaged.
I selfishly cut off the allegedly because I
appreciate
personally I want it to be true. So.
Don't we all?
Right.
Don't we all want it to be true? So we can have Taylor Swift living in our city as well. We'd have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift right here in our backyard.
And Bobby Witt Jr.
That's exactly right. MVP. MVP's all over the place. MV. Most valuable pop singer. Most valuable pop singer boyfriend.
I'll take Ryan
MVP
Gosling
of the NFL,
and,
MVP of the
Blake Lively.
They can move here.
I think they're friends, right? Why'd you pff me there?
Nah. I'm biased.
Why not just
Taylor
Ryan?
And Travis.
I just said
Why not Ryan
more?
Reynolds and
Was
Blake
that what I was
Lively?
thinking of?
Well, they're married.
That's what I was thinking. Not Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds.
I didn't know if maybe you just wanted like them to be neighbors or something. Like
no, that'd
David,
be cool too. I guess, yeah.
Like David Carr and Devontae Adams is like, well, we're going to move next to each other. We're going to join the same team and we're going to be
I
neighbors.
think Derek Carr, not David.
Eat Taco Bell all the time.
Whichever car. I'm not sure what car it is.
They're both broken cars. They both need a lot of work done.
I get
on
the
them.
cars. Every time I get ready to say David or Derek, I start to question myself. And I was going to say Derek, and then I decided to go with David because I questioned myself. No, it's not Derek. It's definitely David that's playing for the Raiders, now Saints. No, it's Derek, I'm pretty sure. Nope, definitely David. It's, Darnell. Darnell Carr. Darnell Carr. That's the guy. Tom Brady, we know he's the guy. He's won a lot of Super Bowls, 7 of them. Patrick Mahomes nipping at his heels with 3 of them already. Tom Brady was on with Colin Cowherd, and Colin brought up the fact that Tom Brady has won back-to-back Super Bowls, did not win 3 in a row because nobody in the NFL has ever done that, and the difficulty of even winning back-to-back Super Bowls and the Chiefs trying to go for the three-peat. Here's Tom Brady and weighing in on what's ahead of the Chiefs this upcoming year trying to three-peat.
To win a Super Bowl is extremely challenging, as we know. Even when you look at the way the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year against the 49ers, it was an incredible comeback, so to speak. They played really well at the end. The margin of error was razor thin.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's going to be this year for them as well. It's very rare. I mean, I would play on an undefeated team. We were the best team, I think, one of the best in the history of football in 2007. We go to the Super Bowl. We play less than our best game. The Giants play an awesome game, and they end up beating us. All these teams in the NFL are very competitive. They're all well coached. The margin of error is razor thin. So to win one Super Bowl is extremely difficult. To win 2 back-to-back, what the Chiefs have done, I mean, as we know in the history of the sport, nearly impossible. To win 3 in a row, there's a reason why no one's done it. The reason why you haven't won 3 in a row, because it's hard to win 1 in a row. So to put 3 of those together in back-to-back-to-back seasons with drafting last, a very hard schedule, all the turnover in free agency, guys continuing to be motivated, it's a big challenge. And that's nothing to say that the Chiefs couldn't accomplish that. Believe me, everybody would probably put them as one of the odds-on favorite to do it. But even that, there's not a 50% chance of that happening. There's way less than that. Those players are going to have to show up every day. They're going to have to put the work in like they have. Fortunately, they have a tremendous coach in Andy Reid who doesn't ever look backward. He's not going to say, hey, we're going to, because we were great last year, we're going to be great again this year. He has a very veteran, experienced, championship-level coach who holds those guys accountable. They've got a great quarterback in Patrick that, as we know, when he's on the field, he's as great as a football player there is in the NFL. Travis Kelce, what he can do at the tight end position, it's really a great safety blanket. Rashee Rice coming on as a rookie. Chris Jones. I mean, they've got Spagnuolo back there as a D coordinator. So they have a lot of great pieces, but to win it all again is a momentous task. No one's going to put it past them, but we're all excited to show up and watch on opening day and see what version of the 2024 Chiefs, what they can do and the goals they can set for themselves and whether they can reach them.
I appreciate that, Tom Brady presenting like the different nuances of all of those things and not just the, they're not going to do that. I mean, believe me, I won back-to-back, and I know what it was like that third year. We went 10-6 because everybody was gunning for us. You got to have Like, he wasn't speaking from sort of a level of superiority. It was more of the, look, man, it's hard to win one in a row, and I've got 7 of them.
Yeah.
And it is hard, including the story of one of the best teams we've seen, most dominant teams we've seen in the regular season, that went 18-0 and was, a couple of, completions or an incompletion away.
Helmet catch away.
From being 19-0 and undefeated, and things happen along the way. And to his point, I mean, we look back and look at the last 2 years. I mean, the Chiefs and the Bengals, that Patrick Mahomes, if the ankle is injured worse than what it ended up being, and it was pretty damn bad. But if it was worse, now all of a sudden he's not playing. And Chad Henne go out there and beat the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. If they find a way to get by, do they win against the Eagles? Probably not. But instead, he's able to gut through it, and the defense is able to limit the Bengals enough that night, only hold them to 20 points, when Joe Burrow had 2 possessions in the fourth quarter with the game tied at 20. Turns out all he needed was a field goal, but he did what Joe Burrow typically does in the postseason in crucial situations late in the game when you can either extend the lead or tie the game or take the lead. He hasn't come through in those situations, and he did not come through in either one of those against the Chiefs, and so they go to the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes does what he does in the second half against the Eagles. And then last year, the fumble in the end zone by McCole Hardman might have been the death knell. Like, might have been what we talk about all offseason, is they traded for McCole Hardman, and the last time he touched the football, he fumbles into the end zone and fumbled away a chance to go to Baltimore and see if the Chiefs could go and win on the road and go to yet another Super Bowl and go to 6 straight AFC Championship games and keep that streak alive of, going to that many in a row. And they get past that. And then the Ravens. And they get past the Ravens by a couple plays here or there. And then the 49ers by a few plays here or there. Go into overtime, win in overtime, etc. Either one of those different, right, over the course of the season and the course of the postseason. We're not talking about back-to-back. Those then have to happen again for it to take place. The common denominator is plays that are being made by Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid coaching, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, some of the main characters that are there, and the supporting cast that Brett Veach has done a really good job of combining with the stars that they have.
What makes it so hard, and I'm not saying everything's 50-50, but to an extent, you're playing great teams. I think a lot of people would agree the Ravens had a better regular season than the Chiefs last year. I think a lot of people said that the Ravens' overall roster was better than the Chiefs last year. The San Francisco 49ers for the same thing. It was the whole 49ers team, but Brock Purdy, can he get it done? But how many coin flip situations happened that went the Chiefs' way over the past 2 seasons? How many where there was a penalty that was called for them? Again, I'm not saying it wasn't a deserved call. I'm not saying it wasn't a penalty, but the fact that how often do we see that maybe potentially not called? How many things had to go right? Not saying the Chiefs didn't earn it, but any Super Bowl, any win along the way, you have to have 50-50 calls go your way, or at least you put yourself in the right spot. When was it Karlaftis that fell in the fumble? Was it Karlaftis, right? When George Kittle got up and wasn't paying attention to the ball, right? They were paying attention. I'm not saying it's a 50-50 ball, but that was something that went the Chiefs' way. You have to have everything go your way 3 straight years in the postseason. 3 straight years. That's what I think Brady's getting at, what makes it so hard. Anything that goes wrong. Anything. The margin is so small in the NFL. When you're playing the Cardinals, the margin's still small. Now, you're playing teams that are on the same page as you, or at least the same level as you. It's so damn impressive what the Chiefs have been able to do. And now they have to do it a 3rd year in a row. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I wouldn't put it past them because we've seen just how awesome this team is in the postseason. And to your point, I mean, all 3 Super Bowls, this team trailed by 10 points or more. In all 3 Super Bowl wins. All 4 Super Bowls they've played in, they've trailed by at least 10 points. They're 3-1 in Super Bowls when they trail by 10 points or more, which is just a ridiculous number. And all 4 Super Bowls, they have entered the 4th quarter trailing. and they're 3-1. They trailed against the 49ers the first time. They trailed against the Eagles 2 years ago, and they trailed against the 49ers last year, entering the fourth quarter. They obviously trailed against the Bucs in 2020, entering the fourth quarter. There was no comeback for that particular whooping that took place. But those things had to take, like they had to overcome all of that. But I think we see it start to build on itself. And I think that's why this team particularly could be in a position, if they're there, to do it, because it goes back to that Houston Texans game.
Yeah.
Like being down 24-0 and coming back and winning that game, and then trailing the next week against the Bills and coming back and winning that game, and then trailing against the 49ers after throwing an interception down by 10 in the fourth quarter, and somehow rattling off 21 straight points in the last 6 minutes of the game, winning that one. Like these comebacks that have happened, and over the years, they just sort of build on themselves. Like the only one that sticks out that like, what the hell happened was the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. It was like they were going to find a way to win. They weren't going to lose that game. They'll find a way to win because that's what they do. It didn't happen. And it was like, wow, the good guys lost in this particular movie. The good guy died? No, that doesn't happen. No. But since then, all they've done is find ways to win in those crucial situations when they're trailing or leading or tied. They end up making the plays. And I think part of it is, a good part of it is between the ears. The other team looking at the Chiefs sideline of, great, they've got that guy over there, and they've got those players.
Yeah.
And the side of the Chiefs looking at the other team and going, yeah, we've got this guy over here. We've got our guys over here. We're going to make plays. We're prepared. We're ready to go. Some of it is that. You also have to have the players to go out there and make the plays, and they've done that. They have those guys. They've drafted those guys. They've signed those guys. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, big parts of being those guys. But the supporting cast has been there, that when they're put in those positions again, they've got such a history of getting it done that I think just the belief is already cemented into this particular group of players that we'll find a way to win this game. We're going to do that. We're just going to figure it out and get a win.
Well, and there's something to understanding of how to play when you're down. There's something to understanding how to play when you're winning. 49ers against the Chiefs have not figured out how to play with a lead. There's something to it.
They should try to get down 10-0
but it's,
by 10 points to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
It's, do we take our foot off? Do we try and continuously be aggressive, right? There's such a fine line, and I think teams sometimes overthink it, but the Chiefs understand, hey, if we get down, we're not going to switch anything. If we get down, if anything, the only thing we're switching is we're going to throw the ball more. We're going to open up the playbook a little more and let Mahomes do Mahomesian things, almost be more aggressive. The Chiefs can do that because you have the best quarterback in the world. It works like that. They have a good offensive line, and defensively, when you have cornerbacks as good as the Chiefs secondary has been in general over the past couple of years, you can go one-on-one with elite wide receivers and then focus on stopping the run up the middle. All of a sudden, now you're having a 3-and-out. During the regular season, maybe your run defense is middle of the pack at best. Postseason time, when you're saying, at least last year, was, hey, I trust L'Jarius and McDuffie. Year prior, it was, I trust L'Jarius and Charvarius Ward. They can go one-on-one, we're okay. Like, there is something to that not every single team can do. Then other teams start to overthink. They start to press. The Chiefs don't have that. They don't get nervous. When they see the other team celebrating, they go, okay, that's fun. You celebrate early in the fourth quarter. We know what's going to happen when the game's done. We'll be the ones celebrating then.
They hadn't done that. They hadn't done that until they beat the 49ers, but that game you're talking about was the 49ers celebrating after that Super Bowl that the game was over, and they hadn't won a Super Bowl yet. They hadn't found a way to get it done. Mahomes had struggled in that game. And through that, the most recent offensive possession was the interception. Then they're facing 3rd and 15. Because what's often forgotten before Jet Chip Wasp is that on 2nd and 15, it was an easy throw for Mahomes, an easy step up in the pocket.
Yeah.
Tyreek's coming back to the ball, throws it, Tyreek catches it, turns around, does his little sort of jitterbug move, finds space, get down, get touched, 1st and 10. Instead, Mahomes steps up in the pocket, throws, it comes off his hand low, and dives towards the ground, and Tyreek comes back, tries to catch it. It goes through his arms, incomplete. They have the review, which is how we got Jet Chip Wasp.
Yeah.
But it was also because that's how Mahomes happened to be playing in that game. Like, he wasn't throwing the ball all that well. That's an easy throw for Mahomes. That throw, 9 times out of 10, 98 times out of 100 hits Tyreek between the 1 and the 0. But that particular game, that particular night, wasn't feeling it until the very next pass. The very next pass in Jet Chip Wasp, and then Mahomes turned into Superman immediately. Just throwing dimes all over the place. Even the one to Kelsey that was the pass interference. Just a beautiful throw that Kelsey was going to be there if he wasn't tackled. The dime to Sammy Watkins when he beats Richard Sherman. It was just beautifully laid in there. Just all of a sudden turned it around and just found a way, to get it done. And that's what he's done in the Super Bowl. When they're trailing 10-0, and they outscore them 25-12 the rest of the way. Like, Chiefs go into halftime with 3 points against the 49ers. And they scored 22 points in the second half. Chiefs went into halftime against the Eagles with 14 points. And they scored 24 in the second half. And picked up literally every single yard available that they wanted to pick up. They gained in the second half.
Yeah, that was
They scored every single
incredible.
possession and slid at the 1-yard line before kicking the field goal. Every yard they wanted to get, they got in the second half while scoring 14 points and the offense looking stagnant. And by the way, not 14, they scored 7 because Nick Bolton had the touchdown.
Yeah.
So they go from 7 to scoring 24 in the second half. They go from 3 against the 49ers to scoring 22, including 9 in the last drive of the game and then in overtime.
10 to 21 in the first one.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen perfection in a half? Because that's what that second half of the Eagles game was.
It was brilliant.
I know.
It was
I'm not
absolutely
kidding. Every single yard that was available that they wanted, they picked up. I don't know if we've ever actually seen that in NFL history. I'm sure we probably have. Maybe the no punt game. For I guess the
49ers Broncos '89 Super Bowl.
Yeah,
52-17.
Yeah, maybe
they picked up every yard in the entire game.
Bill Walsh was quoted as saying the game was over in the first quarter because, quote, everyone's open. So. That's
probably that game.
I'm just trying to
but
think,
even the
though.
no punt game, there were turnovers and some things like that. But
it's like playing Madden is what it was basically for the Chiefs that second half.
That's why I think this team, and I don't know that they're going to win 3 in a row. I'll pick them, to win 3 in a row. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl the year that the Rams did. The year the Rams beat the Bengals, and it was coming. No, it was the year the Chiefs beat the Eagles. I picked the Bills because they had just traded Tyreek Hill, and the Chiefs and Bills divisional round happened the year before.
Yep.
And I'm still convinced that I think the Bills win the Super Bowl that year if the 13 seconds doesn't happen. If the Bills win that game and take on the Bengals, I think they take care of the Bengals, and I think they were good enough to beat the Rams. We'll see. We'll never know what would have happened. But I picked the Bills to win that year, and obviously that didn't happen. But I ain't picking another team until the Chiefs lose it. So I'll pick the Chiefs. But I think that part of it, having the players, but 4 Super Bowls in 5 years, 3 Super Bowls and 3 wins in 5 years, 4 trips to the Super Bowl in 5 years, 7 years of, let's see, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 6 years of never trailing at the end of regulation in an AFC championship game and playing in every single one of them. Like, this team has been there, done that to a degree that, unlike other teams that may be going for a three-peat, it's been a sustained 6-year run of being in those positions, being in those spots and just expecting that they're going to get it done. And 3 times they didn't. And they didn't get the ball in overtime against the Patriots. The Bengals, they was just out-of-body experience. And the Bucs was just a beat down.
Yeah.
Whether we want to talk about injuries or not, that was just a beat down. It's one of the 3 times they didn't get it done.
You can't make excuses for injuries. I mean, we're going to bring it up, but
Yeah,
let's
they had
be
a lot
real.
of injuries,
At
but they
that
got
point,
beat down.
that's part of the NFL season. You have to be healthy. We talk about health all the time as you head into the playoffs.
That's a part of winning 3 in a row.
But I just find it so impressive what the Chiefs have done with the different iterations of the different styles of all the moving parts, losing coordinators, bringing in new coordinators, new faces, same face, it doesn't matter. Defense first, special teams first, offense first. They find ways to do it, while other teams who have Joe Burrow and their offense, and then Josh Allen and the Bills, and even the Ravens with their 2-time MVP, still can't find ways to get it done, while the Chiefs seemingly have that secret sauce.
No, Joe Burrow and their defense, you meant.
Yeah, Lou
Bengals,
Anarumo.
Joe Burrow and Lou Anarumo, because playoff games in which Joe Burrow starts and the defense gives up at least 20 points, he's 1-2.
Hey, but he was good in college, Jason.
Bengals have won one game.
You saw him smoke that cigar.
The Bengals have won one game in the playoffs when their defense gives up 20 or more points. That happened to be against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. That was, again, out-of-body experience.
But he owns that team, so.
They're 3-1. Hang the banner, baby. Hang the banner. We'll take a timeout, come back. By the way, Baker Mayfield, 3-1 against Burrow. Hang that banner, too. More so next. Talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the next hour. Updates to the ZOUs, the current standings, where we are a third of the way through the season. It's funny we talk about the Royals offense and the struggles over the last 3 games, scoring a total of 8 runs. But having that stretch of 6 straight games where they scored at least 7 runs. Major League Baseball this year, in 2024, the teams with the most games of 7+ runs. Guardians have had 17 games. Brewers have had 17 games. The Phillies have had 17 games. And the Royals have 16 games of at least 7+ runs.
Phillies are the only team that actually makes sense right there.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone had Brewers, Royals, or Guardians.
Especially when you look up and down the lineup of the Royals and the Guardians.
Yeah.
And the Guardians, like, it's annoying because it's like, hold on, I'm seeing a bunch of 200 hitters and like 180 and 220. Why? Lose! Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 sports director, joining us here in the zone. Heading up until 2 o'clock on this Wednesday edition tonight. Sporting KC taking on Vancouver. 7:30 tonight right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Whitecaps.
But you listen, the best thing going for Sporting right now, they've got some quick turnarounds to try to turn things around. You have to dwell on things.
It's like baseball, right? The best thing about baseball is that you get to play the next day. Worst thing about baseball is that you get to play the next day. Because if you're losing like this, maybe a little time off. Or it's like, you know what? We're losing. Let's get back out there the next day. Oh, you're losing. You got to go back out there the next day, man. So it just depends on, like right now with the Royals, lost 3 in a row. Man, let's get back to it. Let's get back to winning.
Hopefully that's the mindset you need to have. You want to have.
Last year when you won 56 games, it's like, hey, you've lost 7 in a row. You do have to show up tomorrow. There's no rain. Crash Davis isn't going to give you a rain out tonight. Sorry. You do have to play.
Jason Kendall method. I was reading Jason Kendall's book a few years ago, and he had a really funny anecdote. He was just struggling. I think it was when he was like in Houston or something like that. He was struggling, and the manager came in and goes, hey, you're going to get a game off. Okay, it's a day game. Just go out, have fun, relax, try and take your mind off of baseball. Well, then somehow during warm-ups, the guy was going to catch got injured.
Always works
and
out
he,
that
And he
way.
goes, I am still drunk from the night before.
yes.
I just smell of booze. And he's like, I'm sorry, you got to catch today. It was a day game. And he goes, he went like 2 for 3 or 3 for 4, had his best game of the year. And he goes, that broke him out of the slump. So sometimes you just gotta relax. I'm not saying all the Royals players need to go out
Hit it
and
hard
party,
every
but
night. That's what I
just-
took from that story.
That's what
Right.
I took.
Hit it hard
too.
every night.
Just
Play hard.
get after it.
Have fun.
Play hard, work hard.
Work hard.
Play hard.
You know, play hard and play hard. You know, because
Walk hard.
yes, that's right. Because their play is also work.
Yeah.
You know, so they got that going for them, which is nice. So yeah, the Royals back in action tonight. Hey, the streak stopper, Seth Lugo's on the mound.
Let's
Okay?
go.
Best
Need him.
pitcher in the American
Might
League.
need him twice a week now.
I mean, the
Twice
Royals.
every
The Royals made
5
it through
days.
their fifth best starter last night. They got through it. They almost won with their fifth best guy on the mound, in Coli Raganzi, and now they've got the ace of the American League in Seth Lugo going to the mound that everybody sort of assumed, Cy Young winner, etc. Is going to the mound tonight against Bailey Ober.
Renewed.
Yeah, so Bailey Ober. They hit around. I believe Bailey Ober was the starter for the 11-0 win when they beat.
Well,
the
they
Twins
went
on
from the
Sunday.
longest name in Major League Baseball last night to make one of the shortest.
Yeah.
And by the way, 2 names shouldn't count. It needs to be 1 name, not hyphenated, no space in between. They were counting the space last night for
Right.
Woods Richardson.
And there wasn't a hyphen.
No hyphen.
Why isn't there a hyphen with
That's
two names
Woods
back there?
that's your middle name.
Yes.
To me, it's one of your middle names.
Well, I've already got a middle name, Jeff. Okay, well, you have two
If
middle
there's
names
a
then.
hyphen, I'll listen to you. But there was no
Right.
hyphen.
No.
Saltalamacchia is still my champion.
I was going to say Salt Lamaki is the go-to.
He held it for a while. He's my champion because he's just one last name.
Yeah, but when Ryan Archidiacono was at Villanova as a freshman, I didn't know anything about Ryan Archidiacono, but when Villanova games would be on, every time they said the point guard's name for Villanova, why did they say his
middle
entire
name,
name?
Archie?
He said it. They said his entire name, and it was very annoying. It's like, Bridges over to Archidiacono, and I'm like, why do you have to say the guy's entire name each time?
What about Grislonic?
Yes, Mark. But it was like, okay, so why don't you just say Diacono?
They
Why are
said
you
the
saying
same-
Archidiacono every single time? Just say Diacono.
Same team whenever
Oh.
Dante Chinzo was playing. They said his middle name, Devin.
Dante Chinzo.
Devin Chinzo.
Dante Devin Chinzo. I mean, are you his mom? Are you yelling at him? Is he outside too long? Did he yell at Did he push his sister down? What are you using the middle name for?
It's like Doug Minkiewicz. It's just Witch.
Yeah.
Doug Witch?
He's one of the longer ones.
Mint
Name wise.
Mintkovich.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, thank you.
Minkiewicz and Grudzalonic.
Right, together. I mean, there's a lot of stitching. Well, Major League Baseball with the new Nike uniforms are like, we can fit that over one number.
No big deal.
We can just lower the font down to 6 on this thing.
Times New
You
Roman
kidding me?
at just 6.
This is
Yeah,
great.
you're
But
good.
if they
And Lugo, they have to use Courier New to make it a little
Right.
bit bigger just so it'll take up more space.
They bounce back, they win tonight. First of all, you're still alive to split this series and not lose
right.
it
That's right.
tomorrow. And you've still won 9 of 12.
Right.
Right? And the losses are all, 2 of them by 1 run.
Mm-hmm.
And the wins were comfortable, 8-3, 10-2, 8-3, those type games. If 3-game losing streaks are going to happen with every team, can you bounce back and then get to back to where you were winning these games? It doesn't have to be 8 in a row every time, but I've still liked this stretch of the last 11 games. Okay, the 3 you've dropped in those 11, 2 have been very competitive.
So we asked the question early in the season if the Royals would have a longer winning streak than they did losing streak. Where every year since like 2017 they've had a longer losing streak than they've had a winning streak. Exactly right. The answer better be winning streak now that they rattled off 8 in a row.
And they haven't lost 4 in a row yet this year,
they
right?
have 2 different 3-game stretches of losses in a row. So now Seth Lugo can be there to break this stretch of 3 in a row. And the previous ones,
He's already punching in his he's at pitch 50 already. He's punched it into his arm.
he's gone through
the glove, the Nintendo glove that he has on there. Yeah,
his entire game has already
he's through
been
the lineup twice already.
It's already been pre-planned with Freddie Fermin, probably with Salvi at first base, assuming Vinny's not going to play tonight. But both of those 3-game streaks then were followed up by 4- and 5-game winning streaks. Like they not only stopped the losing, they turned it right back on and started winning again. That's what really good teams do. This is the next challenge now because you were scoring at will. And you had the stretch of 6 games in a row scoring at least 7 runs. Last 3 games, you've scored a total of 8. 4 of those coming in the 9th inning a couple of nights ago when it turned out to be too little too late. So do you get back to playing good enough baseball to where you're winning? Does the offense get rolling again? Or do you just simply find a way to continue playing above 500 baseball? Because if they play above 500 baseball the rest of the way, they're going to get to 90 wins.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so like the rest of the way.
You said 54 and 52 would get them to 87?
54 and 52 would get them to 88.
88 wins.
So they need to be 56 and 50 the rest of the way to get
Give
to 90
me the lock
wins.
button. Let me, like, deal or no deal? Deal. I'm taking the deal.
Yeah, 56 and 50 the rest of the way to get to 90 wins this year. And we went through all of the wild cards over the last 13 years because I went back to 2010 and I didn't want to go any further back.
It was like 3 teams that weren't going to make it.
Yeah, and 87 wins.
With that record?
87 wins was the average of wins.
I think the highest was 93 with Cleveland, I think, one year.
But only one team missed the playoffs with 88 wins. At least 88 wins, only one team was out of the playoffs.
And was that in one of those years where they didn't have a second wild card?
Right, and that was if you're looking at the way that it's constructed now. So you've got the top 6 records in each league. So the top 6 records, only one time 88 wins would have been left out. So get to 88, which again is essentially 500 baseball. It's 54 and 52 the rest of the way. I guess 53 and 53, then you got 87 wins, and that's right on the line of what the 6th best record in baseball, 6th best record in either league, with being that final wild card spot.
That's still a 31 game improvement.
Yeah,
from last year.
31
if
games
they
better.
downshift, right,
and play 500
and play
ball.
worse baseball the second, the final 2/3 of the season, in the first third, they're still going to improve by 30 games.
The concern, though, is the injuries, because Massey now back on the IL with a back injury. He started the IL this year with a back injury, came back.
Oh, right side of the infield, man.
And now Vinny Pasquantino has.
It sounds like he might be back. Do we know the lineup?
So just day to day. I don't know if they've released the lineup or not.
I've not seen the lineup yet. It's probably too soon because we're 5 hours.
You never know. Yeah, it's not out yet. I would guess that probably Salvi at first, Freddie Fermin behind the plate, and
which
Nelly
has been a great lineup, by the way.
Perfectly fine. Keep Freddie. Fermin has like
Freddie's got a cannon behind the plate.
He has forced
and
himself
he's come
into the
up
lineup
big in the bat with the bat. And Salvi,
he's
picking a baseball
at
at first yesterday to get out of an inning.
Yeah, he's fine over there at first, and just as long as Byron Buxton stays in his lane, literally. Stays in his lane and doesn't run on the inside part of the base. It's funny, a tweet earlier today, we were talking about it. It's like, was it dirty? Was it careless? I think it was more careless. I don't think it was dirty. I don't think he did it on purpose. I don't think Byron Buxton should be looking for collisions because his body breaks more than others.
Right.
I think it was careless because, he was looking at the ball and then looked back. He could have weaved away from Vinny. But at that point, he didn't want to then lose a step.
Yeah, I don't think it's dirty or careless. I think it's by design, right? It's by design to force that throw farther wide, right?
And
that's kind of the consequences that come with it some of the time.
They widened the bases to do that. Now they need
You've
to put
never seen that. Usually it's the spike raking down on the back of the leg there, not a knee
Charlie
horse
coming through
to the shin area. Yeah.
And his foot was like Vinny's foot wasn't on the top of the bag.
No.
It was still on the side of the bag.
He was angling away from the bag. I mean, that knee was outside of the bag when it hit his flesh.
But I saw, as somebody tweeted it earlier, it was like, dirty, careless, I don't care. He should have had one in the ribs the next at bat. And I saw last night, I saw more pictures last night of Yordano Ventura after Buxton hit Vinny Pasquantino than I've seen in a long time. Then I saw with the 2014 reunion weekend, more pictures of Yordano because he would hit Buxton in the ribs.
Right. He would have taken
this
care
guy's
of it.
hitting Buxton in the ribs. Yeah. Benches are going to clear, and then we'll know it's 2014 and 15. When this team gets into a fight, this is 2014 and 15 again. Right now, they're a little too nice. 14 and 15, they were brawling with everybody. Oh, you don't think we're good enough? We'll show you. We'll even fight you to show you. We're here to fight. You're not going to disrespect us. We're going to throw at you. We're going to hit you. We're going to slide in hard. We're going to lay the tag down
Was
hard.
it against the A's the other night when Salvi got plunked?
It was the Tigers.
And it was Against the Tigers.
And it was,
the local kid.
It was Lee Summit.
Yes, Lee
Lang.
Summit West kid.
Lang that did it.
I was shocked that nobody wore one the next inning for the Tigers.
But like idolizing Salvi, and he hits. I can't imagine that. Like growing up idolizing Salvi, and then you throw a pitch that gets away and it hits Salvi, and he stares at you like, "What the hell?" Like, I'm sorry, man. I'm totally.
Although he was running hot, there's not to say that wasn't by design.
Right. But yeah, nobody got hit in that particular instance. But again, ace. If he was on the mound, it would have plunked somebody the next at bat. But
Cole Reagans was the right guy to do it too, because that guy throws hard.
Hell, and Kelvin Herrera we know would have done it as well.
Yeah, they definitely had that red ass into them of we're not taking bleep from anybody. And even if it might have been an accident, we're still going to
That Tigers game was well in hand. I think they were to the bullpen by then, to where like this would be a great way to ingrace yourself with the other guy in your battery.
Hey Q, go ahead and get two guys up. Go ahead and get two guys warmed, because one guy we're going to use a couple pitches with. And then
right-hander or left-hander? No, two right-handers. We're just gonna. We're going to lose one.
Yeah, Carlos Hernandez,
just in
get
case.
Up. Just you get up, you throw 100, it's going to get hit. You can't strike anyone out.
Just in case one gets away from the first pitcher on accident. In case something like that happens, we just want to be prepared.
You know what? Even better, Carlos Hernandez, you're not warm. That's fine. Come right in. We're not going to need much out of you here.
You know what would have been great? Kyle Farnsworth, because Farnsworth would have thrown at him, hit him in the ribs, and then tried to fight him.
And then
it would be the opposite. Normally, like the hitter who gets hit, he's trying to fight. No, Farnsworth would hit you and say,
and then approach.
All right, let's go.
Well, Kyle Farnsworth with the Royals, not Kyle Farnsworth with other teams. We didn't like him then.
No,
Farnsworth was likes to fight guy. Yeah. That guy was king of likes to fight guy.
Who was the pitcher with the Giants in 14?
Brian Wilson?
No, I know. Hunter Strickland.
Hunter Strickland.
Oh, yeah.
That stared at Salvi because Salvi stayed at home plate to congratulate Infante, right?
Yeah, coincidentally came after Omar's
home run. Yeah. Omar's home run that blew that game 6 open.
Yeah.
No, that was game 2.
2.
They were
at
down.
Home.
Yeah, they were down the game. I was at that game, so I know that was. But they blew that game open. Salvi runs around the bases, gets to home plate, turns around, waits for Infante. And Strickland,
like
get
every
in the
player
dugout,
ever,
get in the dugout.
Every player
Go
ever.
Shut up, rookie.
That guy was an ass, and then he had the same thing.
Continued to be an ass
with Washington, I think, or when he plunked Bryce Harper, and that started a whole brawl.
Yes,
yeah, he was an ass.
Yeah, he's always been an ass. I mean, he showed his ass the first time he's up there in that huge spot in Game 2 of the World Series. In his first appearance in the World Series, he gets lit up, and he gives up a home run to Infante to cap off a 5-run. I think 6th inning.
Gave up a double to Salvi, and at that time, giving up a double to Salvi was like giving up one to us because he was not hitting, and we were okay with that. We were like, all right, we know it's a strikeout or not, but you are catching.
And then he gave up a home run to Infante, and you're like, good God. I mean, Infante crushed him. I mean, he damn near cleared the bullpen on that one in left field. What are you doing? He hasn't hit a ball that far in 5 years. What the hell?
Omar,
that was a great example of like you
can
throw it as hard as you want, but if you miss your spots, it's going to go a long way.
Hey, vote Witt, vote Bobby. What's the cool thing with Bobby Witt this year?
Vote Bobby Bombs.
Click the kid, something like that. Because
so what it is? Have they thought of it yet? Or are you thinking?
No, I have no,
for them.
I have no idea
Submit
because
for Witt.
Yeah, submit.
Well, but
I like that.
But then you're thinking Whit Merrifield.
No,
we're not.
Nobody's thinking Whit Merrifield. We're thinking Bobby Witt Jr. for sure.
Anymore.
Yes, we're thinking about starting shortstop between him and Gunnar Henderson.
It's Whit too. So
because you're gonna
pronunciation.
It's the age, yeah.
Royals fans are going to have to stuff the ballot for Bobby Witt to be the starting shortstop with Gunnar Henderson doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because Orioles fans will be stuffing the ballot, and he's got, 19, 20 home runs, does Gunnar, so far this year. Bobby Witt is leading in the odds-on, MVP behind Juan Soto. But I think that's going to be an incredibly tight race to start the All-Star game.
Junior for the junior circuit.
Right? Yeah,
the
American League junior circuit
as a
I don't
junior
think so
circuit
anymore.
What about I Like Ike?
Yeah.
Could be like Omar and Jeter, or Nomar Garciaparra and Jeter were back in the day at shortstop.
Dewey defeats Gunnar Henderson. Yes. One of those things. Is that what we're going with? Submit for Witt, click the kid.
See, but when I think kid, I think Ken Griffey Jr. Like when I hear junior,
well, he's
or
not
kid,
on the All-Star ballot this year.
I get it, but Bobby Baseball is better than that because at least I don't think it's been done.
I think of Bobby Bonds whenever I hear Bobby Baseball.
You do? Yeah. I think maybe Bobby Abreu.
I definitely, when I think of Bobby's Bobby Baseball, I think of Bobby Abreu every time.
Bobby Valentine, actually, for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. I think of Robert.
Trying to think of more
Think
Bobbies.
of Robert Witt Jr. Yeah, we need to
Bobby
come
Thompson.
up with. Oh my goodness, Bobby Thompson. How about that? Man, that would have been the Bobby heard round the world.
It would have been
if that happened. But we don't know if it did. I didn't see it. I wasn't there.
Where's
so.
the All-Star game at?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. But wherever it's at, I really hope Bobby Witt's starting the All-Star game. Because they could have three players.
Texas.
It's an RO. Beat me to it.
They could have three starters.
Slow typer.
Salvi's,
he's back in his hometown.
Yeah, Salvi, Lugo, and Witt. Oh, it's even more. He definitely has to start the All-Star game there.
Bring the kid home. Bring Bobby home. Bobby, come home.
They've got
Dinner's on.
They've got to steal the election on this one for shortstop.
Oh.
Even if Gunnar wins, Bobby Witt has to win. They've got to make sure that happens, or I will storm the capital of Arlington Stadium.
Yep.
It's
Bobby
the capital
come back.
A.
It's like instead of baby come back,
Bobby come back.
Bobby come back. You can blame it all on me. I think that'd be pretty.
Seems a little wordy. Vote Omar was quick and to the point.
Submit for Witt.
Submit for Witt. I like it.
Rhymes.
I like it. Submit for Witt. Yeah. It's a great point of being back in Texas.
Right.
When he's got to start. And he's, higher odds to, or better odds to win the MVP than Gunnar Henderson. He plays a better shortstop than Gunnar Henderson. Right. If you just wanted home run hitters, they could go just find anybody that's leading the league in home runs at every position and put them as the starter.
Vote Renfro. That's the new one. Vote Renfro.
Don't waste your time with Renfro. All right, if you're going to go and vote Salvi and Witt. Okay, I think Salvi will end up starting it, but I think they could have three
Hunt
starters.
the ballot for Hunter.
Go for Garrett Hampson.
That's a great one.
He is batting .311. I mean,
He does the hard part easy. He does the hard part. He hits.
Yeah.
It's all the other stuff. Just catching fly balls, running bases normal.
Those are difficult. Those are difficult things.
Compared to hitting,
Yeah.
they're not. But yeah, I
Vote
guess
for
so.
Vinny.
Vote for Vinny.
Vote for Vinny. I just thought of that one.
Pasquatch.
I just thought of that one. Pick for Pasquatch. No. Okay.
Maybe it's Vinny and Gunnar Henderson in there. It's Harry and the Hendersons with Sasquatch.
Be a G.
Is John Lithgow going to help out and manage the American
Yes.
League? Only if he's part of it, then I'm okay with this. They could have the starting battery in the All-Star game with Lugo to Salvi. That'd be pretty awesome.
They should at this point,
That
right?
actually could, because it'd be probably Ranger Suarez on the other side for the NL, and then for the AL would probably be Lugo.
Right now, I think Salvi's.
Yeah, who would be the other catcher?
That's what I'm saying.
Adley Rutschman probably.
Is he having a good year though?
Good enough.
Right,
I'll
but that's
look
to the
up.
point to where you're going to have Orioles fans
Yeah.
trying to stuff the ballot box for Adley,
yeah.
Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson and whoever else for their team, while we know Royals fans can rally with the vote Omar.
It's like the reverse of when the last teams were good. Like we were stuffing the ballot, and the Orioles fans hated us because they had all
right.
the young players, or we had
That's
all
right.
the young players.
Yeah,
And now it's
and now it's like, no. Salvi needs to be the starting catcher for the All-Star game. And as it stands right now, Bobby Witt should be the starting shortstop in the All-Star game. But it could be a couple of Orioles.
Bobby in the box. Ballot box. Batter's box.
There it is. Mark the box.
Bobby
for Bob.
Boxy baseball.
Bobby Boxy baseball. I think we're getting worse here. I think
No,
we're
we
actually
are.
going backwards and trying to think of better ones. We've gone the wrong way. We are now colder.
Yeah, in the
Big shot, Bob.
In the AL, you're really looking only at Salvi and Adley Rutschman, who's OPS in 815.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a good
He's
season.
been really good.
Yeah.
The NL's tough because you have William Contreras, who's absolutely crushing it. Will Smith.
Wilson Contreras.
Yeah, the brothers. JT Real Muto. And
Always.
yeah, I mean, you look in the AL, there's only two catchers with an OPS over 770, and that's Salvi and Adley. Unless you go Langoliers for Oakland.
You mean Bangaliers?
Because he's the only guy they made. Well, look at Mason Miller, I guess. So that, I was thinking of Oakland's only.
Oh, Mason Miller would be the All-Star for
Yeah,
Oakland.
Mason Miller, but Shea might get it too.
I don't know. There's too many. You got
Well,
Salvi
if
and
you
Adley
have three
Rutschman.
catchers in the
be a
AL.
bullpen catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Langoliers is going to make that one. Unfortunately.
Oh, I don't think
for,
so, but I'm just saying if they keep three catchers in the AL, he might be the third.
Yeah. Does he have enough at bats to qualify Reed Jeffers? Since we're watching him right now with
Ryan
the Twins?
Jeffers, you mean?
Yeah, Ryan Jeffers. I don't know. Is that Reed?
Let me look at Ryan
Who's
Jeffers.
Reed Jeffers? Somebody look up who Reed Jeffers is. But
some guy in your imagination.
yeah, does he have enough at bats to qualify?
Ryan Jeffers right now has only 163 at bats Salvador
I mean,
Perez.
that's
gotta be enough.
That would be enough
Yeah, it'd be
to.
enough.
Salvi has 199.
Yes, that would
so-
be enough to qualify.
Yeah,
I don't know what his
declare.
OPS is. When you went through and talked about OPS,
850. Surprisingly, Ryan Jeffers was not on the.
that's what I'm
MLB
saying. Like, I don't know.
list
Are they not
for?
putting him as enough at bats? Because I know he's been awesome this year.
Well,
If you
because
look-
Elias Diaz is 163, he's on there, and Shea has 162. So I don't know why Major League Baseball does not have Ryan Jeffers on the list.
yeah, because he's got 10 home runs already this year, batting 260, and
So you
he's-
probably Ryan
those
Jeffers,
might be the three.
Salvi, and
Adley
then
Rutschman.
Adley.
And then you got Mason Miller for the A's.
That's their one.
That
guy.
picks up-
Solved
that
it.
Picks up their one. We've solved it.
We've done math.
We did it. We did it, everybody. Rob Manfred, you're fine. Take the day off.
Show over. Show over.
You know what? Take the day off, Rob Manfred. We got it. We figured it out. That
He does
All-Star
that.
game.
He does that already.
That All-Star game trophy, that piece of metal. We got it all figured out as who's going to. That's what he was talking about, that trophy, right? The All-Star game
sure
trophy
it
was
was.
just the piece of metal that people are trying to win.
No, only
Hunk
the
of metal, I
championship
think.
trophy, not that one.
Oh, it was just the World Series trophy?
Yeah, just that one.
Oh, but anybody can find a trophy with 30 flags in it. I mean, it's not that hard. Just
Go
go
one by 3 o'clock.
With
get
paint
one.
on it too.
Sure, whatever you need.
Nail
Amateur.
polish.
Yeah,
It's
nail
amateur.
polish.
Rug Piers wouldn't make that trophy. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, heading up until 2 o'clock tonight. Sporting KC taking on Vancouver. And we got the final whistle after the final whistle in that one. Oddly enough.
It's confusing.
Isn't it crazy?
It's confusing. There's 2 final whistles.
Yep, there's the final whistle.
The literal one.
And then
figurative one.
There's a figurative final whistle.
Is it really a final whistle if the game will play again at another time? Certainly the final
true.
whistle. That's just
Yeah. I'm not sure.
They should call it the 19th hole. What every
that would be
golf
smart.
course. What's the grills called? Every golf course.
That'd be smart if they did that. Let's get an update to the ZOUs. So at the beginning of the season, the 4 of us picked our ZOUs. Sterling
Were you
wasn't
part of this?
He wasn't here that day,
I
but I gave
texted
him.
him, yeah.
But I gave him the ZOUs that he could pick, so he can be a part of it, so he can buy us lunch.
So he's taking on Josh's picks.
No, I do not want Briscoe's picks.
Okay. Yeah, he made his own picks. So
much later though.
No, do you not remember this?
No, God no. Why would I?
Yeah.
Well, like,
why would I remember something
did you
that you
think
did
I'm
with
here
him?
last week, or like when did you think I joined this show?
Not in March. Did you join in March?
It was right after the
This
NCAA
time for you to
tournament.
answer a question.
Yeah,
It was
I'm
after the
thinking.
NCAA tournament.
You know what? I'd be
It was the first
horrible
week of
on
the
the
season.
stand because it looks like I'm lying right now when I actually just can't remember. It's either March or April.
No, it was the first week of the season, and you hadn't started yet, but you got these ZOUs. We knew you were starting.
Oh, no, we saw a
I
little-
gave these ZOUs to
He
Sterling
saw
last
a couple
week.
weeks of baseball.
I gave these ZOUs to Sterling last week, and so
Yeah,
he is now a part of it. So we'll see.
That's how I'm taking it.
How he did. All right, Cole Reagan's. We had the 10 different categories on the pitching side. Cole Reagan's. We had wins set at over under 10.5. He has 4.
Yeah, those first few weeks didn't help.
He is pacing for 11.5.
You should have about 7 or 8 right now.
Yeah, the half win would be difficult, but he is pacing for 11.5.
You know, they're doing great things this season, so maybe.
Yep. Only one person had the over of 10.5, and that was me. But I certainly could use a couple more wins along the way to feel it because, knock on wood, injuries and everything else. So you 3 had the under, 10.5 wins for Cole Reagan's.
Yeah.
Michael Waka, ERA, set at 3.8. He's pacing for a 4.31 because that's what he has
now.
right
Pace guy.
Sterling was the only one that had the under. So Sterling, no point for that as it current standings.
He's
I know, but
trending the right way.
I don't know.
He's trending.
We're doing the current standings. We give the update and
I
do
mean, he
the current
started at
standings.
0, and now he's at 4.31. I think
I'm
he's
just gonna-
trending
I
the
like to
wrong way.
argue.
Yeah.
Heading
just like
the
to
wrong way.
argue.
That's a great point. He did. Everybody started at 0, so really, Seth Lugo's also heading the wrong direction.
He's since day one.
First day of the season.
Hey,
he is-
his expected ERA is a 3.38. We're not going by that. We're not going by ERAX.
no, this just
We're not-
says ERA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I misunderstood then, I guess.
Oh, you're fine. Leads the team in saves.
Yes. No.
Sterling and I had James MacArthur. Dylan and Mick had Will Smith. You guys are not getting jiggy with it.
Hey.
So I think Will Smith is 8 saves away from James MacArthur, who has 11.
And he leads the team in saves,
He
correct?
leads the team in saves right now. If they were to make a move at the deadline or something, maybe he doesn't lead the team in saves. And nobody
still
wins
be
that
more
one.
than Will Smith.
Dylan, I heard blown
No,
saves.
it's just
I heard blown saves when he asked the question originally.
It's just a player. So if it's not James,
Which
if it's not
might still
MacArthur,
be James MacArthur.
if it's not MacArthur or Will Smith, nobody gets a point. So
Disagree.
Who's second right now in saves?
Chris Stratton, I believe.
Stratton, I think, is second because he's had a couple of those
3 or 4, yeah.
2-inning saves or something like that. Bullpen total saves on the season, we set at 35.5. I'm the only dummy that went under.
Really?
They are pacing for 49 saves on the season.
Good job, squad.
You know, when you're winning this many games, so you guys, all 3 of you went. Oh, Mick, if you don't want the over, I'll give you the under.
I'll take the over. I'm just surprising myself. I was all sunshine and rainbows back then, I guess.
Apparently.
A good day.
Except for Cole Reagan's wins.
Yeah.
You're like, no, he's not going to get to at least 11 wins on the season. This team sucks. Speaking of which, team wins 74.5 is what we set it at. They're pacing for 98. Mick was the only one that went under.
Are they really pacing for 98 right now?
I mean, if you're into that sort of thing. I mean,
Not looking
pace
good
guy.
for Mick here.
yeah, but they're pacing for they haven't got to 75 yet.
That's right.
Until they win 41 more games.
Still there. Still alive.
If they go and play 400 baseball the rest of the way, Mick is in this thing. He is absolutely in it. So the other 3 of us, Dylan, Sterling, myself, we had the over. On to the offensive side, Bobby Witt Home runs and stolen bases combined, we set it at 70.5. You guys laughed at that number, said it was absurd. We all took the over. He's pacing for 71.
Told you. Told you.
You're like, 70.5? I'll take the over.
70.5 is a dumb number. You can't hit it.
We all four had the over. So we all four were so overconfident. Like, of course he's going to get to 70 stolen bases and home runs.
Start running more.
He's not stealing as much, but he's pacing for 71 right now.
I was thinking 50 stolen bases, 20 home runs. You're there.
Yeah.
Salvi, extra base hits. We set the over-under at 43.5. He is pacing for 60. Dylan and Mick went under on that.
Go,
one.
baby,
every time,
Sterling and I.
Hey, Jason, we knew, baby.
Every time he hits one off the wall, I'm like, that's another nail in my coffin on that one.
Keep him at first.
Yeah.
Come on,
he might keep himself at
Long
first.
single.
There was a long single the other day for Salvi.
There was a really long double, the other night when he hit in the ninth inning.
Last night?
I think 99% of players get to third on that because center fielder.
Well, I think 99% of ballparks that's out except for that stupid-ass wall in right center.
If it's 5 feet left of there, it's gone.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Who puts a big-ass wall in center field? Like, what's the point of that?
I didn't remember that we did that, and now every time I see Salvi hitting one to the wall and only getting a single out of it, it'll crush me now. I was actually excited. I was like, hey, Salvi gets a hit. I don't really care. It doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, now that he gets a double, you're going to be hurt by it. Yeah,
Well, I told you his
went
prime's
under.
34, and no one believed me.
You went under.
I'll buy lunch if it means the Royals are making the playoffs.
I went under?
Let's go.
No, you went under. 43.5.
Never mind, I'll take it.
Yeah, so he's pacing for
now
60,
I'll think
though.
of Mick.
Yeah, think of me.
Yeah.
He's pacing for 60, so he just needs to get to 44. He doesn't even have to get to 60. Just 44 extra base hits. That's all he needs. This is where this one ended up being a little laughable in my optimism. Vinny Pasquantino batting average, we set it at 299.
Yeah, you had that. We laughed at that one, too.
Yeah, I went over because we all laughed at it. I said, bleep it. I'm going to go over then. You guys did not go bleep it, and you went under, and now I'm saying bleep it.
April helped us.
He is pacing for 224 because that's what he's hitting. 224. He's going to need a lot of work to get to 300 this year to help me get that
like
point
a month of
over.
hitting 450.
Who says he couldn't do that?
Just a month.
Absolutely.
It might be
Just
a month and a half, actually.
Sure. As long as he's got a healthy shoulder and knee,
Right.
he's
Which
fine.
he doesn't
does. He's got
right
a
now.
healthy right knee and left shoulder. So, I mean, what more do you want?
Healthy calf.
Oh, that's right. You need the nerves to be working together. Renfroe and Velazquez. Home runs combined.
Oh, boy.
We set it at 44.5.
Wow.
I hope I went under.
They are pacing for 26. Mick and I went under.
I went over.
Dylan and Sterling went over.
I'm a dumbass.
Mark that. Well, you didn't have Vinny batting 300.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so two of you are dumbasses so far.
Because, Velazquez had 14
There's
home
three of
runs.
you? Okay.
Velazquez had 14 home runs
I
in
had
like
over here,
30
right?
games. Yeah, you had the over.
Oh, okay.
Renfroe had 20, so it's like, well, I mean, if they both run into 20 this year, but I still went under because I thought it was, well, I don't know why you
It's
guys
not
went
over yet.
I
They're going to
appreciate
get hot, baby. I've always said I believe in Renfroe and Velasquez. I've always said that.
Yeah.
Renfroe's a June hitter.
I've always said negative reinforcement helps, and I got to start ripping these guys more because when I do, they always do something good.
I've always thought of Velasquez as like Carlos Beltran.
Yes.
When the weather heats up, he heats up.
Yeah. It's like Jose Guillen. Jose Guillen, same way.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Hunter Renfroe's always been better in the fall months, like September and October, when the other Hunter Renfroe is playing. So it's like he's competing against himself. He always ups his game.
He doesn't like to stand out of the Hunter Renfroes. He likes to blend in.
Yeah.
And
I'm
be
not even worried.
part of the group. So 44.5, they are going to have to get on their horse if they're going to get to 45
Do not
home runs
send them
combined.
Is that legal?
I mean, it'd be tougher to hit the home runs on a horse, but
Yeah,
I
so
mean, maybe they will.
bold
Not sure.
strategy.
Last category.
Better launch angle from the horse.
It is.
Last category.
Where'd you put the strike zone? That bigger strike zone? You just moved
Elevate
it
it,
up?
you know?
Boy, they got it. It's some really high. This guy's calling really high strikes.
Throwing Rick Vaughn pitches, basically.
The catcher is just standing straight up.
Yes.
Trying to frame it.
Is it catcher interference if your horse just like back kicks him right in the jaw? Sorry, catcher interference.
Well, it's a Shetland pony,
Is it?
Oh.
so it can't get all the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What tail hits the catcher? Does that still count?
That's part of it, just
Catcher
like,
interference?
like the swing.
We had a catcher interference over the weekend that was called a foul ball, but sometimes those things happen in tournament semifinal games. So the last one, Cy Young and MVP voting. We said either Bobby Witt or Cole Reagan's finishing in the top 5. Either of them. And I'm the dummy that said no. You three said yes. Either Cole Reagan's or Bobby Witt will
We're
finish
thinking
Cy
Bobby,
Young
yeah.
MVP. Right now, Cole Reagan's is the 5th betting favorite for the Cy Young, and Bobby Witt is the 2nd betting
Really?
favorite. Yeah.
Where's Lugo?
Yeah. First betting favorite?
Lugo is just out there being a
the
badass.
AL.
It's just out there being a freaking badass.
Just warming up right now.
I didn't even look for
The
Lugo
Royals
because
have
I was
2
putting
of
this
the
together.
top 5?
I'll be honest, I don't know. I'm going to look right now because I just looked for the Cole
If
Reagan's
he's not
name.
in the top 5, then I'll take Lugo now.
Yeah.
The odds are.
Let's see. Cy Young Award, American League. Seth Lugo is 6th, right behind Cole Reagan's.
No.
Tariq
wild.
Skubal, Corbin Burns,
makes sense.
Tanner Hawk, Luis
Skubal.
Castillo,
Tanner Hawksman.
Cole Reagan's, Seth Lugo.
Vegas clearly doesn't believe in the Seth Lugo start.
They do not.
A lot of the underlying metrics aren't great, but he keeps outperforming those. So at some point, you have to say this is what he is: a guy who gets a lot of
But
plays in the ballpark. He's smart.
even if
Smart
it's not,
guy.
even if it's not Reagan's, I mean, Bobby Witt continues this. He's going to be top 5 MVP voting. He may win the damn thing. Soto is plus 225. Bobby Witt's plus 250. Aaron Judge plus 350. Gunnar Henderson plus 450.
Yankees, my goodness.
Yep, 2 of the top 3. And so
I can't wait for the Royals to kick the Yankees' ass in the playoffs. Just to really, is there a fan base that you dislike? Well, I guess Alabama football, Dallas Cowboys.
It's the same people
It's
that
the same people. same
cheer
people.
for all of them, yeah.
Do
Yeah.
basketball.
So
Oh,
I
yeah,
said
same-
the Knicks are out, but don't worry,
guys.
the Cowboys start soon. So Cowboys head to training camp soon for the Knicks fans that are upset about that. All right, so 10 categories that we had for the ZOUs. The standings are,
Oh, I can't wait. Are you going from top to bottom or bottom to top?
do you want to be the top or the bottom?
I just don't want to be the bottom.
Okay. So I have 7.
Oh, I wonder if that's top or bottom. Or maybe you start in the middle.
Sterling has 7. Dylan has 6.
Oh, damn it.
And Mick has 6.
Wow.
We're separated
race.
by 1. And I've sort of looked at it, and 7's the max I can get. Because Bobby Witt and Cole Reagan's are going to finish, so I can't get that one. Vinny's not going to finish with a 300 average. I can't get that one. And they're going to get more than 36 saves this year if they keep winning, so I'm not going to get that one. So the max I can get is 7. I just have to root that you guys have, that somebody has 6 or fewer.
I need
That's all
Salvi to
need.
just slam on the brakes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to root for that.
Yep, you need Salvi to slam on the brakes. You need Cole Reagan's to stop picking up wins, because that could be the if Cole
Yeah,
Reagan's doesn't get to 11 wins, then I drop to 6. You guys jump to 7. The leading the team in saves, Will Smith, you're not going to get that one. But I could lose if James MacArthur doesn't lead in saves. I could lose that point. And
think
then
you're safe
you
on
need
that
the
one.
and Mick, you need the Royals to stop winning to only get to 74 wins.
That'd be a monumental collapse.
Would you like to not have lunch if
No,
it meant
I
the Royals
will
win 74
buy
games?
lunch for whoever
What
if it meant the
lunch is it,
Royals
by the
make the
way?
playoffs.
It's the emotional hedge.
I will go
great
to the
point.
sales office and ask for trade like a grown-up, okay, and pay for your meals through somebody else's dime, okay, if it meant
That's
the Royals
not-
making the playoffs.
That's
Where are we
not
going,
what-
Mick?
That's not what we do here.
Well, figure out. He's got like 2.
I got 1 left.
One left.
I got 1 left.
And then,
I feel pretty good over here. I feel
You feel good?
strong. I feel
Okay.
strong.
yeah, I wish I could have made my bets in May.
Where are you most susceptible, Sterling?
Ego. Oh, no, in the bets. I got you.
Really, Sterling's 7 are pretty strong. The Salvi extra base hits, that's you could drop if that one happens, but he's going pretty well. You've got the over with Renfroe and Velasquez, but you don't have a point for that yet. So
Yeah.
that's
So gain one.
Winning is the same as getting third in this whole deal.
Okay,
exactly
so
right.
it doesn't matter.
You don't have to be the
Yeah.
fastest swimmer, you just can't be the slowest.
Running from a bear.
That's exactly right. Or swimming from a bear.
Can bears swim?
Yeah.
I just don't want to be if they can, just don't be the slowest swimmer of the group to get caught by
They
the
like
bear.
fish. They get fish out of the water.
Yeah, but they don't swim to
No,
get the
for
fish.
sure
They
climb. They're bears.
Yeah.
Well, they can climb. That's not the same as swimming, Mick.
It's not.
It's
but
swimming up
bears
a
can
tree.
swim.
It's the same motion as swimming. They claw the water and pull it back. Reach out, claw the water, and pull it back. Reach out, claw the. Haven't you taught
you
kids
a
to
bear
swim?
instructor?
Didn't the bear swim in The Revenant? I think he was chasing after Leo in the water.
The bear won the Oscar that year.
Yeah, he did.
It was a great performance. Great performance. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. And there was a question that was asked on Twitter yesterday, and I immediately thought of Sterling and Mick Schaefer. So I will ask them that question coming up next. Nine 913-912-4810. So let's ask this question. I was going to ask the question with Sterling as well, but apparently he decided to go somewhere. I'm not sure.
I'll answer.
Well, you can drink on the show. He just leaves the door open.
Apparently.
There are rules?
He left the studio and went to break.
Are there rules for these millennials? Not even millennials. They're Gen Zers, aren't they?
Left the door open.
Right, you, Dylan. You're a
not to be seen from since.
You're a baby boomer in my book. Old
I
soul.
appreciate that.
Old soul.
I guess, man. I mean, he gets engaged. Now he thinks he can just do whatever he wants. It's like Travis Kelce.
You're engaged? No, he's engaged.
No, Sterling is engaged. Yeah, he and Kelce. Just walking around doing whatever they want. Oh, we got engaged. Now I can say whatever I want and do whatever I want. Now I can be a star in a movie. Whatever. He wants to be in Happy Gilmore too. So apparently there was a
Stu does or Travis.
Travis. There was a people were saying that hi Stu, you're welcome back, man. You want to do the show or you good?
It's your world, man.
Yeah,
whatever
no, it's up
rules
to
you
you,
want to
man.
play by.
It's up to you. Yeah, it's radio.
That was the shortest break we've had in.
Well, I told Dylan make sure we have the shortest break as soon as Sterling leaves because
What the heck? It was a minute long. That's how long it took to warm up the corn.
Well, where'd you warm it up at? Across the street? Did you go across the street and use the microwave there?
I mean, that'd be pretty fast. Then I'd be pretty impressed.
That would be very fast, yes. But no, there was a theory that Travis Kelce was going to be starring in Happy Gilmore 2 because Adam Sandler announced that there's going to be Happy Gilmore 2. And Travis Kelce lately has been seen a lot at different places with the Happy Gilmore hat.
Let's go.
So wearing the Happy Gilmore hat, it's like, all right, he's going to be in it. But he put the rumors to bed and said, nope, I'm not in the movie, although that would be awesome. I'd love to be in the movie. I'll play the Bob Barker role. I'll do whatever it takes. Jason Kelce told him, no, you'd be more Shooter McGavin. He's like, okay, that's fine. I think he'd be better served as being the Kevin Nealon role. The doing the bull dance, feeling the flow, working it, that sort of inspirational, quiet guy.
A good teammate.
Yep.
Ben Stiller. He'd be so good as the old folks home.
Sure, yeah.
He'd
Oh,
be
that'd be
real
great.
with the mustache
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
He would
That would
thrive.
be awesome. My fingers hurt. Oh yeah, well now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty. Anybody else's fingers hurt? Oh, Mr. Gilmore, we're just enjoying a little arts and crafts time. Your grandmother's quite the quilter.
You could be one of the moving guys at the beginning. It's not as easy as it looks. Trying to hit the golf ball.
That's right.
Are they? I mean, is it Happy Gilmore 2, or are they just remaking the first one?
I think he's remaking it to some degree.
Like the
or it's
same
the
story.
Same characters, maybe an added to the story. I don't know.
But how can you do without Chubbs?
Maybe Kelsey plays Chubbs.
Well, remember Chubbs, he passed in the first one.
Well, that's what I'm
That's what he
asking,
was
though.
saying.
Is
The
it
Chubbs
is it a
character, the
sequel,
Chubbs
or are
type
they
that-
remaking the first movie?
You'd have to look it up. I don't know. I was just looking at the conspiracy theories of Kelsey wearing the Happy Gilmore hat because he's promoting,
I have
behind the scenes a little, dropping in little references here and there because he's promoting Happy Gilmore too. That's why he's been wearing that hat. But no, he said, I'm wearing the hat because I'm a huge fan and I would love to be in an Adam Sandler movie. I'll play whatever. He said, I'll be an extra in fans and I don't care.
Kadarius Toney could play Chubbs because they both don't have hands.
I like that one. That's pretty good. Instead of the alligator, it'd be Mahomes biting his hand off for dropping it. So it's like, damn it, that's the Mahomes.
Who's the big guy who gets Frankenstein's fat foot?
Could be Kelsey. I had to hit it on Kelsey's fat foot. Play it where it lies.
Kelsey's perfect for so many of these roles.
Many of these
Exactly.
roles, yeah.
That's exactly right. And we joked about earlier the Easter egg that was dropped by Jason Kelsey in the New Heights podcast, where Travis was then talking about different movies and roles he'd love to be in. And he said, he'd like to be Bobby Boucher. And then Jason Kelsey looked at Travis and said, well, I would just be the wedding singer for you. And then stared at the camera. Like he did when people were wondering if Taylor and Travis were dating, and Jason Kelsey dropped a little about Kylie and worrying about your dating history, and then stared at the camera. Now he says, I'd be the wedding singer for you, Travis. Staring at the camera and Travis losing it. So here's the question that was asked yesterday. Thought of you two.
Oh, let's go.
You get to play each of the top 100 courses in the world once, but then you can never play golf again. Yes or no?
No.
Get to play top 100 courses in the world once, but those are the last 100 rounds of golf you ever play.
And there's a timetable on this, or I do it all in a year, or just the rest of my life? Those are the only
times you can play golf for the top 100 courses in the world, and then you're done playing.
No.
Like, could I wait until I'm like 65 and then wait until you're old?
You have 100 more rounds left in your life, is basically what the deal is.
That's what it is.
They're on the greatest courses ever.
The
But my
100
point,
courses
would
in
you
the
do
world,
it-
not just in the country, in
when
the
you
world.
turn 65, then I might consider doing it. My game's going
So
to
you're not going to play from now till 65?
No, I could play now, and then I would
No,
press the yes
He's
button.
saying
starting now.
Starting now.
Oh, it
man.
starts
Starting
now?
now.
Oh,
100
no,
more-
no.
yeah, no.
I'm out.
I would do it.
I'm not
Yeah.
a golf course snob to where I'll play anywhere.
Yeah.
I grew up on sand greens, so
I would do it because I don't
mean,
play much
I'm
golf.
playing
so.
close to 100 times a year already.
Yeah, see, I don't think I have
So-
100 rounds in me left.
Yeah, left, yeah.
Yeah, for you, Jason, it makes sense.
It'd be great. It'd be
Yeah.
awesome. And that would just brag to you guys about, hey, so I played Valhalla once.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to say. It's what golfers love to do.
And
is
am
that they
I,
love to brag about where they play.
Am I paying for this travel? Am I paying for the travel to get there and the rounds, or what?
No, it's 2024. We can send you guys through,
Okay.
You
can
can't break
beam me
these
up,
up like
Scotty.
3 per year and make it last a little bit longer than once. Because you guys said you do 100 rounds in a year?
No. Mick said he does 100 rounds in a year. I
Close
probably
to it.
do.
I'm out there. That's
I do 50 probably.
But for
two-
this,
that's
would
2
you
times a
shorten
week,
it?
yeah.
You could
On
shorten
average.
it for this and be like, all right, I'm going to do Valhalla, Masters, and whatever this
But,
year.
here's the thing. It said you get the 100 courses in the rounds. What if you split it up 9 and 9 a couple days? Right? So then you get 200 times out there playing with 9 holes on that course. Yeah,
I would be done golfing forever by 50, and I think at 50,
That's when you
golf
wanna pick
is
it
the
up.
only thing I'm going to have to look forward to the rest of my life.
Quilting.
Pickleball.
Landscaping.
Golf will be the only
gardening.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, landscaping, golfing, things like that. So you both say no. I say yes because
It's a total deal. Like how much do you golf? That's the question. Basically,
Most of the
It
answer
determines
is,
the yes or no.
almost every answer was no.
No.
Almost every answer was no. And it was like, nope. I'll play more than that over the next
I have
3 years.
100 rounds left. I'm going to get my ass kicked on every single one of them.
I'm just going to be annoyed.
At least
That's a great point.
At least 7 of them I'm going to have the hosels for, so that's going to suck.
I don't know what that means, but I'm going to take
sure
it as
either.
you're
The
playing
hosels
terrible.
The shanks.
Oh, okay.
You don't call them hosels, hosel rockets?
No.
You know, when you come a little too far inside, just no.
Never heard of it. Actually, honestly, never heard of it. This is
lucky.
the last one. This is one for you, Mick. Dazed and Confused depicts events of the last day of school 17 years prior in 1976. That would be the equivalent of making a film today depicting events of kids graduating high school in 2007.
Yeah.
Boy, it does not feel
wild, yeah.
like 94 or 93 to 76 now till 2007 doesn't seem like it's that big of a gap of what 93 and 1976 felt like. That felt like a lifetime between those two in what was going on versus now it's like that's the same thing. We have smartphones, right? We have the internet, we have all that stuff, right? I mean,
Great movie though.
It was great.
Yeah, when I was born, I was closer to like the end of World War II than I am to now. So
amazing.
Yeah.
That was a football movie, by the way.
But that movie was made only depicting 17 years ago. What would have happened 17 years ago? Now that would be 2007.
For kids these days, the 90s were my 50s, basically. We're looking back like, wow. Was everything
like?
really black and white? All the pictures were black and white. Was it black and white out there?
What was it like?
When did the world turn color?
Did anybody accuse you of being a communist?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wow. That would have been scary
Yeah.
if they did, man. So, I don't even root for the Chiefs because they're red. I'm not taking any chances. I'm all about the Royals. It's Team Blue. That's right. And it's Royal.